Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4Player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 678. It is April 29th, 2021. My name is Nick Henderson, and
What's up, Nick Henderson?
It is an honest-to-God... I'm going to do the same thing over again. It is an honest-to-God 4Player Podcast tonight. Tonight I am joined by Brad Simons.
Hello.
Christopher Davis.
Hello.
And David Liao.
I noticed you called him Christopher Davis again.
Wow, we're really going to just repeat the exact same intro we did.
I wish I could remember the crap that I said, but I can't.
The live show, they missed the good stuff, so they get the.
It's the Groundhog's Day episode of Cocktail Time all over again.
Well, the good news is this time we had the audio problems about 2 minutes into the recording, as opposed to an hour and a half into the recording, so we didn't have to try to remember everything we said, but. We did fuck up the audio, so we are doing this bitch over again. Anyways, welcome to the show. We have a lot to talk about tonight. David is joining us to talk about his new game of all time, Balan Wonderworld.
Is that what you said last time? You said,
yeah, it's more or less.
I don't know about best game of all time, but it's certainly up there.
That's Thank you. And we're going to talk about
grinding. I don't know if you guys can see the counter in the background, but I'm actually grinding rotations in Balan Wonderworld.
You're grounding rotations so you can do what again?
I don't know. It unlocks. It says partially repair the clock of happiness. That's what it says.
There it is.
I'm about
partially repair the clock of happiness.
I'm about 100 rotations away. I don't know if you can see it back there, but right.
I can see a bunch of numbers
on it as we record.
Yeah, and we're obviously you're gonna tell us all about your time with Balan Wonderworld shortly. We're also gonna talk about Nier Replicant, Resident Evil Village, the second demo.
Oh yeah, I can listen to y'all talk about that.
Technically, the third demo, if we're speaking.
Technically, the third demo. You're right.
It's the second demo.
And of course, because this is the Monster Hunter Rise podcast, we're gonna talk about Monster Hunter Rise.
Well, actually, Nick, a lot happened in the most recent update, so there's a lot to talk about.
Great, thank you. That's very true. So, before we get into all of that jazz, I just want to tell everybody I watched the Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. Why wouldn't I? It was on HBO Max. Why would I?
There you go. I have grid look. Okay,
and
oh, you have HBO. Oh, you saw it on HBO Max. That makes sense,
right?
Are we talking about movies now? Because if we're talking about movies, I saw Demon Slayer Mugen Train.
Sure.
Which is where those figures are from. Nick, how was Mortal Kombat?
Yeah. Was it real serious and dark?
It definitely takes itself way more serious than like the last movie, or not the last one. The last one was garbage.
Annihilation wasn't that bad. Come on,
dude.
man.
Annihilation is practically unwatchable.
What are you talking about? You didn't like it? You didn't like it when Liu Kang, Robin Shou turned into a dragon at the end of the movie?
Quality special effects.
You didn't like it how they lost the Highlander as Raiden and they had to get the other guy to be it?
I mostly didn't like that movie because everybody in it looked like they were like
from the video game.
No. Everybody looked like a stage production of Mortal Kombat. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like
budget. It was budget as hell.
You don't like theater?
It was budget as hell.
I was fine with that, dude. I was totally fine with that.
But you know what? Totally this new one is okay. It had some moments in it. I think it's weird.
This new one is also budget as hell.
Does it properly uphold the Mortal Kombat lore and mythos?
Okay, first of all,
you like the word mythos. I know that.
I do, but I don't give a shit about the mythos of Mortal Kombat.
Really?
I think you know what I honestly think is the worst part about this movie?
You know who's a huge Mortal Kombat fan?
No, dude, I'm not.
I mean, he has an unhealthy obsession with Reptile.
Dude, Reptile's like my favorite character.
Oh,
I thought it was Cabal.
No.
Does he like Cabal?
I do like Cabal. And by the way, Cabal, worst character in this new movie. It,
He's in the movie.
it
How about Stryker? Is Stryker in the movie?
Stryker is just y'all just rattle off Mortal Kombat characters, and I'll tell you if they were or were not in the movie.
Melina.
Motaro.
Melina was in it. Who the fuck is Motaro?
Motaro's
The
fourth
worst
guy.
character they ever made.
Wait, is that the? Wait, describe it. Is it like a flying chick with?
No,
wings?
he was the centaur guy.
Yeah.
Okay, no, he's
How
not.
about
In it.
how about
We had
Cyrax and Sector?
They're not
Yeah.
in it. No, sorry.
Boo.
The worst part about this movie, because it takes itself pretty seriously, but it loses any bit of like credibility it has the moment like someone utters to themselves fatality, because they do it like 4 or 5 times.
What
Do they
about
really?
Noob Saibot?
He's not in it. They got to save some shit for the sequels.
I
which
mean,
you know are
technically,
coming.
he kind of
Did
is,
they
though.
really leave this movie open ended for a sequel?
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh
dude,
my god.
They the lead actor, I think the new character, that because this main character in this movie is like a new original character. He's like signed on for like 4 movies.
Oh.
If
Oh
like
wow.
with the uh under the assumption that this one performs well. So like his contract will continue if this one does financially
Are
well.
you excited about the amazing Spider-Man sequels that never came about? Were you excited about that with Woody Harrelson as?
Oh, you mean Carnage, like the Venom movies?
yeah.
No. I never
Oh,
saw
it's-
Venom.
Oh,
There's
it
a
was Venom.
Carnage movie coming.
I forgot about
Okay, this conversation sucks. I hate comics. Can we, and Mortal Kombat, whatever. Can
Do
we
you?
talk about games?
We are talking
fucking
about-
Monster Hunter.
You impatient little bastard. We are talking about we're talking about Mortal Kombat. What
I wanted
video
to
game
ask
is
a
more
question
important?
about the movie.
What
What
video game is
question about
more
movie?
important than Mortal Kombat? Name
What-
one. I dare you. Sorry, what was your question?
I was going to ask about how the fights were, because I mean,
Eh.
I've heard that there's a lot of cuts for most of the fights, except for like ones that involve Scorpion or Sub-Zero.
I don't really care about. I mean, here's the
you
opening.
know more about the movie than Nick, and he watched it, and you didn't. It's weird.
No, no, the fights are okay at best, but like the
That's
opening
not a good
scene,
sign
honestly-
for a fucking Mortal Kombat movie if the fights are
Eh,
not good.
I mean, I don't know. Whatever. They were fine. They're entertaining. I was invested. There's some cool set pieces I like, but you know what? Whatever. We've already talked about this way too long. Let's
I
talk
was
about
Shang
other
Tsung.
things. Not good.
Not good. Oh, okay. Then this not even worth watching. then.
You know who plays Shang Tsung? And not that I'm saying this is a bad actor. I just thought it was kind of an odd choice. Do you remember The Dark Knight? The dude that like that tries to like leave the country to get away from Batman.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, that
what's
guy?
his name?
That guy's
Oh,
Yeah.
terrible. He's always a maroon in all the. He's like the maroon Chinese guy, dude.
I don't know. He seemed like an odd choice for
he's in
Shang Tsung,
so
but
many
that's the guy.
things.
Dude,
Yeah,
yeah, he's always a doofus character, man.
He doesn't
He's-
sound like a major character from Dark Knight, so why does everybody remember him?
You'd know who we were talking about if you remember.
He's
the
the
Dark
one
Knight.
he was like, oh,
He was
I-
on the TV when the Joker
right? Remember?
comes
And
in.
he was like, oh, I take the money, I go to China, I go to Hong Kong, where my country will not extradite one of their own. That's what he says.
I mean, that is basically exactly what he says. For the people listening at home, David is
Shin
Chinese,
Han.
Just so, just so we're
If they don't know that, that's super offensive.
Really? Why is that?
I just want to be
I'm
clear.
allowed to say- I'm allowed to say that because I'm Chinese.
You are allowed to.
Basically.
We are not.
Why?
Uh,
It's just imitating an accent, right?
What does he say again in the movie, Nick?
don't you fucking do it to me. Can we
He's
can
not-
we move on?
It's because Nick's not good at accents, dude.
I'm not. Let's move on. Let's talk about video games. I feel like Balan Wonderworld's been out longer
Let's
than
do
everything
it.
else. Let's
It's been
start
like
there.
a month. I realized I started that the day it came out. It was like a month ago, and I, to my own fault, I was planning on beating it this week before the show. Unfortunately, I got kind of sick, and so I've been going to sleep early the last 2-3 days, and I didn't think
Gotcha.
I didn't think I was that far away from the end, but I'm still like 2 more worlds, and these end worlds are taking like an hour each now, even though they're only 2 levels each.
So I don't really have much understanding of what this game actually. I mean, I know this
Okay,
is from
so-
the guy who created Knights, right?
It's Yuji Naka, the original creator of Sonic. He's gone off to do some other weird, different projects here and there. He did Ivy the Kiwi, if you remember.
Creator of Mr. Needle Mouse, right?
I don't remember Needle Mouse. I think he did Choo Choo Rocket though, right? Choo Choo Rocket. He probably did.
Choo-choo.
Choo
He did
choo
probably did
rock.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, da da choo choo rocket da 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 choo choo rocket da 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 da. Yes, things are great. But yeah, and then he did what's it called also? Which by the way, if you guys have
Billy
never heard
Hatcher.
Billy Hatcher, but if you've never heard the story about Rodea the Sky Soldier, that's something y'all really should look into because that game was his last game, and that got universally panned. But like, it's completely pretty much not his fault at all. He made a pretty competent game, so.
Is Balan Wonderworld a pretty competent game?
Yeah, it is. It's not. I don't. Here's the thing for me is I don't like. What are people expecting? I guess is that. I mean, I guess that's the question
I don't know.
that's out of it.
When they announced this, it seemed like people seemed to be making a pretty big deal about this when it was announced.
Why?
I have
don't know about that.
I mean, not like a huge deal, but like it was.
It seemed like
you
a
know,
surprise, right? Because it was this colorful platformer that came out of nowhere, and
from Square Enix too.
and the game showed pretty well in trailers. I feel like it seemed like there was a lot of
Well,
variety. Seems like there would be a lot of buttons you could press to make your character do things.
okay, so that's your problem, Brad.
No, it's not my problem. I have lots of problems, but to be fair, I only played part of the demo.
You
Glad
played,
we
yeah,
got that
so
on
that's
tape.
fine. The demo, like was surprising, but the thing is, I guess I go in with an open mind into these kind of things, right?
right.
I think
I would
I
hope
think
so.
I think the biggest problem right now. I mean, here from when we started 4PP and we were doing like video game when we were like doing journalism and going to like shows and
In
reporting
air
on
quotes.
games. Well, I mean, like because we were just kind of like guys who got passes to E3, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
We weren't
that
like
is
getting
an accurate
paid.
description.
We weren't like we weren't getting paid, but we were taking it serious, right? Like
Yeah.
I remember
Right.
every E3 we went to, we were like, okay, but before we went, we were like, who's gonna cover what? Make sure we
Yeah.
did assignments. We were meant to like
Booking appointments,
yeah,
all that sort of thing.
get like but now like everybody's technically a journalist. These YouTubers are journalists too. I think I don't know if I ever said this on the show, but like that I think looking back on it, like I think we were so focused on trying to do like realistic reporting that we never it never dawned on us to try to do the whole YouTube thing and like really really focus on the entertainment. I mean like uploading clips and
Entertainment.
stuff like
Right. No, I
right.
get it.
So the thing is I don't know, like it makes me upset a little bit because um like I feel like anyone like YouTubers jobs are to be entertaining, right? And there's a lot of like, well, one of the ways to be entertaining is to shit on a game and make like completely dog it and make fun of it, and everybody's like, ha ha ha, ha that's so funny, yeah, that game's dog shit, and like that's what is coming out of Balan Wonderworld. I keep on saying Wonderland, but Balan,
Yeah,
I'll
I
just call
mean,
it Balan.
yeah.
Right, and now like I see somebody post like there's a couple Twitter accounts that I follow that are like, oh, here's the deals on the games, and then like they'll post Balan on there as like, oh, it's Balan's for $40, and like this happens always now in video games.
Are you
Like
talking about Wario 64? Did he do that once?
well,
Where
they all did it, but I mean, I'm not
he posted about like it's on sale at like Walmart or something, and he's like, "But
right.
I'm not going to include the link, so you don't. I want
I
to
mean,
ensure
whatever.
you don't buy it
So
or
for
something like
whatever,
that."
like he's not. I'm not so much worried about him. He posts deals. He's trying to make a joke. That's fine. Whatever. But I look at what's more concerning for me is like the comments is like everybody's like, oh, $40, not even if it was 20. And like just every year, every season, there's always a game that goes through this where
There's multiple games that go through it. To be honest,
everybody automatically writes the game off and says it's not worth their time and you couldn't pay. It's the same. For me, it's like a broken record because they all say that they all think they're like super, like creative, coming up with these clever cut downs, but it's like, dude, y'all say it these when there's so many people, eventually all the jokes are told, and every time I look, it's always you couldn't pay me to play that game, the game sucked. But I mean, so I don't know, I don't want to go too long into this rant, but I mean it does make me wonder a couple things. One of them is like when reviewing games, like should price come into consideration, right?
and
Because
so,
like
in some cases, it should.
Yeah.
I don't think
okay,
it,
But I could argue, but like the biggest knock I see on this game, because most people haven't played it, right? They haven't played it for more than uh, the world or two, maybe, right? I know they don't own the game, right?
The demo.
The,
Most people played the
right.
demo.
So the biggest complaint I ever see about this is, oh well, why is it $60? It's not worth $60. Like,
Yeah, and I
and
mean, to
like,
be honest, to kind of just really quickly, you asked the question. This has come up before. Like, should price play a role in reviews? And to me, it always seems like the only time I feel like it's really appropriate to make price a part of it is when you, as someone who is reviewing a game, plays the game, finishes it, and then feels like you don't feel like you got your money's worth on the game, which I don't feel like would come. I mean, it's not just a matter of I didn't like the game, but like if something about the game specifically speaks to you as like this feels like the price that they're asking, regardless of the quality of the game, what they've produced doesn't seem to match what they're charging for it. Like maybe that's something that should come up, but I feel like
so in
I'm not
all
saying that should be the
honesty,
case here.
in all honesty, I didn't pay $60 for this game. If it was $60, I probably wouldn't have picked it up first day. But I'm smart enough, like I follow enough different websites and stuff. Okay, Target had a buy two get one free, so I tacked it on with a couple one. So overall, it was like $40 for me on the buy two get
Right.
one free. I was like, okay, well, shit, for $40, I'll buy it first day one. I'll play it. And the thing about it is the thing that I love most about this game, I mean, I love about this game is that, I don't know, man. People love these Mario 3D games, 64, Galaxy, Odyssey. What's the other
What?
one?
3D
Sunshine.
Land or
Yeah, I
3D
mean,
World?
they
I
love
played
all
3D
these
World.
things, but to be honest, like, maybe it's just me because I've played all of them. I mean, I grew up playing platformers. 3D platformers were my thing. You could basically name any 3D platformer on PS2, Xbox, or GameCube, whatever combination, and I probably played through it, like minus a couple here and there,
Blink the
But
Time Sweeper.
I've played through that multiple times. But yeah, but I mean,
Multiple times, huh?
yeah, I went through it again last year. Like, just kind of like how you go through Days Gone whenever you feel like it.
I just
That-
finished my second playthrough of The Last of Us 2.
Okay. God, really? I've heard that game's long. Anyways, but
30 hours.
my point is, like, haven't you ever gotten tired? Like, as great or amazing as Odyssey is, don't you feel like, oh my god, like, yeah, it's the Mario formula. They come up
Sure.
with like these interesting ideas here and there, but overall, you're gonna fight a boss. You're gonna have to wait. You hit him once, then you wait again, then you hit him again.
I think that fatigue is especially when it comes to platformers is kind of born from this fact that like I don't feel like we live in the golden age of 3D platformers anymore.
No, of
Like
course not.
if Mario
even-
wasn't
even-
kind of the only one that comes along every now and like if there were more awesome 3D platformers out there, I don't feel like that kind
But-
of like bummer feeling you
but
have about Mario.
There
would
is a lot
exist.
of nostalgia for this genre. I mean, like Kickstarters, like Ukulele, or even like
Hat in
Hat in
Time.
Time and stuff.
Right.
Like
But
they're
I
really
played-
successful because people kind of miss these types of games.
But
so-
I played Hat in Time and I played Ukulele. I didn't care anything about those at all. I don't know why. I just
Okay,
those.
what is it about this
Get
Maybe
at the
the
heart of
Japanese-
why you like this game so much.
So there are major problems with this game, like with the game design. So for instance, there's suits, right? There's a bunch of suits, and the suits are just sitting in these crystals, and you have to grab a key to hit the suit to get the suit, which is, I mean, kind of arbitrary because they put the key right next to the suit almost always, right?
Can I say that I think the reason that people ragged on this a lot is not how much it costs. I think people were ragging on this game before they even knew the price. It was when that demo came out. I don't think this game set a strong first impression, and
Sure, but
it was
what-
easy. It was easy to
You-
make fun of, right?
But
Because
what was
people
great about
opened
the
up
demo?
controls, right? And they saw that every button did the same thing, right? That is
Yeah.
immediately something like that's fucking weird, right?
It
They
is
saw
weird.
that.
Wait a
It
second.
is-
Wait a second. Back up. Every button does the same thing.
Hold on. We'll get
There's
to
a
that.
clip of me when I start up the demo. I'm running around and I hit a button and I jump. I'm like, okay, cool. What does X do? It jumps. A jumps. Y jump. Right trigger jump.
So this
Left
is a
side,
Lego game as far as
jump.
controls
Wait.
work.
See, look how Nick's reacting, right?
No,
This
no,
is
I
how
mean,
people were reacting.
No,
I know,
and
but
I
like,
was laughing too. I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Every single button is jump, literally.
but like,
Also, I'll say
But
that like in terms of game feel, I don't think this game feels particularly
it
good.
doesn't, and the camera is horrible. I've died
So
multiple times just walking off an edge because
so
the
I
camera
think it
gets
was
too
those
close.
first impressions that shocked people,
Sure,
right?
but that's
Because say you didn't love ukulele. A lot of people didn't love ukulele. It hadn't time, you know, I
because
know
of the
Chris Davis
concept.
fucking likes it, but like I feel like when you saw that, you're like, well, I know how this plays. And when you picked up a controller, it played kind of how like you were expecting to some extent. This
But this is
I
what's
think
so
I saw a trailer for this, and in my mind, it played a certain way. And when I started playing it, it didn't
well,
feel like that at
you thought
all.
it played like what?
Like
Like
any,
Mario Galaxy,
modern 3D
Mario,
platformer, like a Mario game, right? Because it's colorful and there was a lot of variety in the
which is
trailer. So
great. The
what do
colorful
I
and the
think of? I think
variety.
of like a Mario platformer.
What I think about okay, so what I think was great about the demo that I liked is that they gave you like world 1, world like 5 and world 7 or something like that. So like each world is completely like kind of different. The suits are like, I'm not going to say the suits are super deep, but
are
you
the
get
points of the suits that they change what all the buttons do on the controller?
no, well they changed not all the buttons, the one button. Most button suit only does like one thing.
Okay,
So some
so
of the
so
suits you put
so
on, I have this one pumpkin puncher dude, which he'll like throw out a bunch of like flying fists, but he can't jump. So you turn into him, your A button just punches. That's it. You can't jump around, you can't platform him with
Which
him.
again is bizarre.
It is bizarre, sure.
but was that kind of like the intention? Like the whole point behind it was to like
S-
to create like challenge by like
I
figure out what suit is best for certain situations?
well, I mean, so yeah, I mean ultimately, yes. Ultimately. Ultimately you can argue that the game is not designed very deeply. Like for better or worse, because when you have like 80 suits in the game, like if you there are some suits that completely break the game, and this is where I'm at now. I'm at this point where I have air cat, which basically you just run on the air. So there's times when I'm just like wander, and this is what's so great about these 3D Mario-esque games is that there's always some collectible. I see it off in the distance. I'm like, well, how the hell do I get over there? And then I just boop boop boop, like use air cat, jump to this thing, doot doot doot, jump to that thing, and like I'm just finding a way to get to that, and I don't even know if that's the right way to do it. Like there's actually like this stairways in this game where the stairs are there and then duck duck duck, they all flatten out into a slope.
A
And
slide, yeah.
yeah, and I was like, well, I can't climb this thing. But later on I get air cat, I'm like, okay, I'll climb, and then right when it's about to turn into a slope, I'll jump off of it and I'll just hop in place until it turns back up again, and then I jump on it, and then I just climb it like that, and I've been able to climb it up and get like multiple trophies that way. And then like later on, it turns out like there's, was it Mary Ghost or whatever? There's some ghost that floats over. It doesn't actually touch the ground. So like if there's poison on the ground, you just float over all the poison. Oh,
Hmm.
that part where it turns into a slide, you just float right up the slide. And then like there's even a part where like there's a switch, and I like jump to the switch and I get to the switch, but I'm still on Mary Ghost and the switch is not going down because I'm still floating. So like I can't actually push the switch down. So I have to change into a different suit so I can push it down. I mean, some of the suits are okay. Some of the suits are completely useless, and you can just tell it are a cosmetic
It
variation
it,
of a
it
different
kind of reminds me of it kind of not this is not a one-to-one comparison, but it kind of reminds me of like how I felt about some of the masks in Majora's Mask, where I was like, I can see how I'm going to use like a handful of these a
right.
lot, and then there's
Yeah.
others that
So, so
I'm never going to put on.
one of the problems of this game is that you don't always have these suits. It's not like you pick it up once and you have it. You actually have to
Uh,
like stockpile them. So if you take a hit, whatever suit is equipped at that time, you lose. If you fall off a cliff, you don't die, you just lose the suit you were wearing. So there's some suits, it sucks is I
Oh,
only have like 2 air cats,
oh
and
my
I haven't gone back and grinded it so I can get like 9 or whatever.
So
Wait,
I've heard
And
you or other
Mhm.
people kind of describe the weird way you kind of juggle suits and manage suits and need suits and don't have the right suits at the right time.
Well,
And then
there's so
when I found out that this game was made more or less by people who worked on Blinks the Time Sweeper, it reminded me of like when you accidentally picked up like a fucking gem you didn't want and that just
right.
fucking ruined everything. It's
Yeah, I know.
weird design.
It is, but this is what's refreshing about it because it's not like the same old, same old. The thing is, the keys
I
are
get what
always
you're
there.
saying.
You can grind suits. Like you pick up, if you pick up a key, the key doesn't respond, respawn. Sorry, doesn't respawn. But the suit
Mhm.
is always near that vicinity. So as soon as you pick up the suit, then the key respawns, and so you can just sit there and go back and forth and just keep stockpiling. So you can only carry 3 suits at the same time, and if you pick up the fourth one, it'll push the last one into your inventory. And like I don't know if people know this, but every so often in the game you hit to like a save point which will save your progress in that level, and you can walk, and
Right.
if you just stand on the save point, it'll bring up a changing room, and you go in the changing room and you can access any suit that you have collected through up to that point. So like what's so great about it is like, I mean, I have to think about it a little bit more, but it's a question of like design, right? Because whereas in Mario, there's like a handful of suits. Let's say, Mario World, there's like 5 or 6 suits, or there's some suits that are specifically tailored for that one level, and you run through that level, and then the suit's gone, right?
Yeah.
But this
Right.
one, you have access to all suits at all times. Like the problem is, how do you limit those in the level, right? And then like you go on the first level, there's a place and there's a gear on the floor, and you're like, well, shit, I don't know what that is. I don't know how to access it. And and then you see a trophy on the thing, and you're like, I can't access that, I guess. And it's not till like World 5 later you get like gear prints, and you're like, oh, okay, well, gear prints just goes in there. He plugs into
It's
it, and
the
he can.
Metroidvania.
I mean, to
I
some
mean,
extent, a little bit. I
yeah.
mean, it's cool. Like there's a spider suit and there's spider webs in some levels, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I wonder what that's
It can
for. And
be
then you
like
get
some
spider.
kind of Spider Man.
Yeah, and then you
Oh
just
god.
you climb across the spider webs, and you can get. There's a bunch of weird suits. There's a couple like there's one suit that it's a butterfly or like a moth, but he can only fly when the lights are on. So it works out amazing in that one level because the lights are on. It turns into this like starry night like image, and then you're just floating around. But like you never use that suit again in any other level. Maybe
Oh,
maybe at the last level when everything comes back together again, then you use it. I don't know.
okay, so backing up a little bit, you were saying that you have to grind for these suits.
You
How
don't
easy is
have.
it to
Not like
grind
you
for
think.
these?
I mean, you just go back in the level and you just go to where the suit is and just pick it up.
I mean, you can do that with like
And you can exit
power
the
ups in
level.
some Mario games or
You
whatever,
can
right?
straight up leave the level anytime. It's not like you have to
Did
finish the level too
Did you
to
play
get the.
Bowser's Fury, David?
I did, but I only got like halfway through it. Again,
That
Okay.
game's
boring.
so good.
Oh, for me,
What?
it's
Does
boring.
it?
It's the same like.
But wasn't that doing some new things?
What? What was it doing? Like, I
Okay, well,
turned
okay.
into
For
Giga Bowser and Giga
no, no,
Mario
no,
thing and
no. I mean,
punching Bowser in the face, or Mario Cat Mario?
I hate that we've somehow like tied Balan Wonderworld to Bowser's Fury now because that's like a
Well,
whole
I
nother
didn't. I
conversation.
was just gonna say in that game you kind of collect power ups, but whatever.
Yeah,
We don't
you
have to talk
you
about
you do
Bowser's Fury.
I mean, you're
stockpile
still
power ups in
doing
that game
like
too.
all the great ideas in Mario are being like reused and recycled, and
Sure, as it has been for ages. I mean, they find creative ways to use things that we're very familiar with, and it seems to me like this game. It's weird because it seems like in a lot of games, if they're designed like, okay, how do you interact with the controller? Like, what mechanics are born from the way you interact with the controller? And this very much seems like, okay, the controller aspect is actually very simple. This is more along the lines of mechanics are born from like the world around it, like,
yeah, I mean,
how they've designed and placed things in the
I'm
world.
not trying to tell you like these worlds are super complicated and like robust and like capitalizing on some like fantastic amazing ideas either. But like the boss like designs look really cool. They're kind of like Mario-esque a little bit, but then kind of like Kingdom Hearts-ish. It's kind of weird, man. It's like almost doesn't fit. Like I'm on world 10 now, and it was this painter level where just you go in that route, you go into that first level or the second level, and it's just a mess, dude. It's like stairways going here, stairways going there. It's like everywhere, paints all over the place. You go in through like one mirror, and then like the world flips, and then like it took me like an hour just to get through that entire world, but it was like fun and interesting and fresh. And then like I was
I mean,
bringing in a suit from a different world and just like, okay, well, normally I wouldn't be able to jump this gap, but I'm going to use Ghosty Ghost and just float across it.
So,
And
so do you feel, based on how many suits you've experienced, does it feel like the level design compensates for all the possible suits, or are there just some that are just straight broken for the levels?
no, I mean, that's the thing is some of them are straight broken. Like when you have 80 suits, you can't, I don't think you
you can't
can like,
design for 80 suits.
yeah, I mean, but again, like one suit is like straight up like, hey, I'm an ice skating seal, right? And it's like you're going to use ice skating seal on any other world. But but for that one level, it's like perfect. It's like, okay, you're just gonna skate around all these guys shooting shit at you.
I will say, David, to kind of tie everything together, whatever. I understand the idea that, like, hey, this might not be as
This boss
polished as
fight
a
was pretty
Mario
cool, though.
game, but it's fresh and it's different and it's charming because of that. And I get that. In fact,
And
we're
there's
going to
a
talk about
there's
fucking
potential
Nier here in a second.
for
And that
another.
is another game that is really fucking janky and weird and not nearly as good at certain things that other games in the genre are. But the fact that it's just different and weird and unlike anything else is what made it special.
Well,
This
the thing
seems
is,
seems fair.
I don't get. I feel like everybody's like taking this game super seriously. Like
Well,
Welcome to the internet.
whenever you beat a boss, there's like, okay, so one of the things is like you hit a save point and like for some reason, for some odd fucking reason, and this is odd as fuck too. Like you're running through the level and then there's like the suit people, like all the suits you get are like people, right? So it's like whirling bird or something, and there's a giant bird like dancing around the level as you're running by, and you're like, what the fuck? Like
and he
there's
disappears. He
yeah, and then
disappears.
they disappear. It's the weirdest fucking. And then like every world is kind of like this, like tortured soul. Like, oh, I was a painter and I lost my like my muse, and now I
What
don't
is
know
this,
what to.
Persona?
I don't know what to draw. And then you'll be running through the level like with paint splatters everywhere, and there's a giant like the giant painter like thing there like. And you're like, what the hell? Like, why is she in the level? I don't get it. Am I in her psyche? Is this some
But
sort of like
that's the
psychonauts?
charm.
No, but I mean, it's weird, but like, I guess like I feel like initially when I saw it, I was like, this is fucking stupid. Like there's a big farmer, and it's like the farmer who lost his whatever. I don't forget his oh the who played against the storm or something. I don't remember. I don't remember. It was a farmer like farming corn, but like so. And then like you beat the level and you like set his inner demon free or whatever. And there's like a hi lady lady lady, and everybody's all doing this dance number, doing backflips, pirouettes.
I
And
think
it's
we're
like,
about to see a dance number
huh, what do you mean?
with
In
the
the
chess
footage.
dude.
Oh shit! Oh, I forgot this thing was running. I
No,
forgot
we're
there was
talking about
video.
we're talking about the footage rolling on the screen.
Yeah,
I
I
have no
forgot
idea
I
what's
had.
happening.
I see. I wish I could. That's one thing I wish. I wish you could see like the variation, because there's 10 levels and they're all like uniquely different.
I
And
mean,
like
we are in fact watching a dance number on here, and I will
right,
say,
are they all dancing around and everyone's
yeah,
like doing the funky chicken?
I'm
You
gonna be
know?
honest, David. This looks like your jam.
Well, it's just for me when I saw this stuff, I was like, this is fucking weird. And then it just, I don't know, something clicked and I was just laughing about it, dude. Like through the whole game,
Good. That is
I'm just kind of laughing and like, all right,
good.
sure, if this is
I
what you
think
want
that's
to do,
great.
fuck it. You know, like
Somebody in
I don't
chat
have
said
to
you
like,
should also mention the music. Is the music pretty good,
it's
or are
okay.
they
I mean,
or are they being sarcastic? I don't know.
some of the levels are okay. Like, look, everyone's dancing. Okay, so do you see these chess pieces there? Like, okay, so you get the chess piece suit, and he's literally like a rook with like a gun in each direction, and they all shoot in each direction like like constantly, boom, 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 and they shoot, and like you can't do anything else but like run and it just auto shoots. You don't even tell it to shoot; it auto shoots. And this guy's like the chess guy, right? And he was like obsessed with winning all the time, and he just wanted to beat everybody, and then somebody beat him and he like became this evil chess guy, and then now like he's rediscovered his love for chess, and he's like, oh, I'm playing this kid, should I destroy him? Oh, it's okay. And then then like I'll let the kid win, yeah, and everyone's happy again. It's like, why not?
It seems very much like maybe this game lacks a cohesive.
Well, I mean, again,
I
that's
don't
the
know.
idea.
Well,
If you're expecting some
again,
sort of like it's just like get. Oh, and that's one thing I will say about the bosses. Whereas like Mario all the Mario bosses always take 3 hits, and it's the same pattern. You got the same dodge the thing. It gets maybe a little bit complicated the second time through. In this one, they offer 3 trophies for a boss battle. 1 for beating him, and then 2 for like there's always some trick to the boss
Like
where
alternative way of taking him down.
yeah, where you just take him out real quick. Like there's the first boss will like shoot whirlwinds, but if you have the right suit, you can actually throw his whirlwinds back at him. So you could beat the boss in like 30 seconds if you wanted to. But like
See, that's the kind of shit I feel like the charm of the game is rooted in like just like the underlying design. Like that sounds cool.
well, I
Maybe
mean,
more
it's
interesting than
something
the
it's something that doesn't happen in these traditional Mario games for sure, you know?
yeah.
I mean, and there's these dumb like QTE parts where, it's annoying and you have to get everything perfect on it or you don't get the trophy. But and it wasn't that annoying except now I'm on world 10 and there's like and these are skippable. You don't have to go and pick them up and do the QTEs. So it's on me, but this last level I probably had like 5 QTE things. And the problem is not the pressing the buttons, is that you have to sit through all the animations of him flying through and doing Dragon Ball fireballs and punching people out of the sky, and then like, oh, I got one hit. Oh, I fucked up the butt thing. I can't get it now. And then like
Time
you
to
have to
do
sit
it
through,
again.
you can't. You sit through the rest of it. If you mess up one, if you don't get excellent on all 5, 6 button presses, then it's over. And then you got to wait till you're like next time in the level before you can do it
Jeez.
again. It's pretty bad, but I mean, I'm on level 10 and I think you have to have like 120 statues to beat. I'm at 120 statues. I can't go to the next area till I have 120 statues.
You're
I
going
think
you're going hard on this game.
that's all you need to beat the game is 120, and I already have 111 just kind of like futzing around and going back into some levels trying to grind
David,
trophies.
are you going to read the
Wait.
book? Are you going to read the book?
Is there a comic? Is there a Balan Wonderworld comic? Wonderland?
Wait, no.
Wonderworld?
Okay, so you don't know.
Wait.
Okay, we
Oh.
need to move on. But I want to wrap up by telling you this very strange thing. There is a novel, a Balan Wonderworld novel. This
Mhm.
game has like no story outside of cutscenes where you just kind of have to watch and figure out what's going on. The
Mhm.
novel explains like everything in the fucking game.
Dude,
It's an actual novel.
isn't this the kind of experience y'all want, dude?
It's because like what's his face
Experience
Yuji
outside
Naka, he didn't want like story or some, he didn't want like story in the game or some shit, so they put it all in the fucking book.
What's the book
That
called?
is fabulous.
I don't know, Google Balan Wonderworld book.
I mean, I'm guessing it's probably called Balan Wonderworld.
David, I
Real
want
quick,
you to get that book and I want you to read it and I want you to report back to us.
Sure.
real quick, I just think
I'm
it's
sorry,
funny.
they don't have a listing for Balan Wonderworld book. They have one for Balan Wonderworld novel.
It's a novel.
Specifically a novel. We need to move on, but I just want to point out we had this.
I'm like 10 rotations away from partially repairing the clock of happiness, okay? So I'll just
That's
What does
great.
that
We're
even
still-
mean? You've said that 8
No,
times
Davis.
tonight.
Read the
Davis.
book and you'll find out.
Whoa, man, there's a the
Chris-
thing is sitting there. There's a rotation thing that keeps rotating, and then like these
That's
little Tims are like pushing it around, and then eventually, look, it's at 1448. I need 1460. So I've rotated it 1,400 and almost 50 times.
I think you completely missed the point of my question.
Okay, Chris
What
Davis.
was the question?
Chris Davis. God damn it, Chris Davis! I'm going to stop you there because you are literally going to just open. You're going to open the book, and David's going to just go down an.
I mean,
entirely
I'm not
different road
asking
here.
for the VOT video, explanation that's 8 hours long. I just want to know what this fucking clock does.
I don't know. That's part of the thing. Part of the thing is like, what does it do?
Who the
Let's
fuck
find
knows?
out.
Read the book. I'm sorry, read the novel. Read the
The
novel.
novel.
Real quick, I just thought it was really funny. We just had this big long conversation about Balan Wonderworld, and then Bring the Raucous pops in and says, "Why does this remind me of Knights?"
Well, Knights was another game that's like, this shit's weird. You're just flying around in these loops. I don't get it. And then some people were like, dude, this is amazing. I've never played anything like this. It's crazy and it's weird and it's different. But
Is that going to be the
Well,
legacy
I'll
of
let you
Balan
know.
Wonderworld as well?
less people. I think people are in general less fond of this game than Knights. Knights was like this big, heavily marketed Sega Saturn game.
Like,
But-
it was the Sega Saturn launch title.
Right. I remember you could go to Blockbuster Video and rent Sega Saturns And my
Oh my god.
my I had a friend of mine, high school friend, rented a Sega Saturn to play Knights, and then he beat it in like a night, and then he returned it.
237 pages. The Balan
Oh,
Wonderworld novel.
oh no,
I
I
want you.
missed it.
I want you to read that. Oh my god! Did you just fuck that up?
I missed it. The cutscene played, and I didn't catch it. Now I'm unlocking the third section of the Tower O' Tims.
Nick, what else were we talking about tonight?
I want to talk about Nier Replicant version, whatever, blah blah blah. I don't
How long
remember
have
what
you
it's
played
called.
that game, Nick?
Version square root of
okay.
1.5.
I'm going to be real quick. I spent a vast majority of my time off and the past week or so finishing my second playthrough of The Last of Us Part 2. But I have sunk about 4.5 hours, 5 hours into Nier Replicant.
Did you know
Now,
JJ Macfield is on sale right now, Nick? $7.50.
didn't you say this shit last time you were on?
Because it's on sale again, dude. It's perfect timing. Golden
not
Week
playing
in Japan.
He's not going to play it
Why?
now out of spite.
It's just like Little Nightmares 2, but better.
Oh, don't say that.
Wow.
How do you know? You haven't played it.
Well, first of all, I don't think Little Nightmares 2 is also like the best game of the year or anything, so I'm not sure why.
I'm not saying anything about best game ever.
It's just strange. I think you went for it because you knew I liked Little Nightmares, so you're like, that's the one I'm going to draw comparisons
No,
to.
it's
The point is,
I feel like the games are similar with the creepy horror aspects and the weirdness of it, and
I will
puzzle
Google
solving.
that shit. I will Google that shit during the break. Right now, I'm going to talk about Nier Replicant. Like I said, I'm pretty early. I'm like 4.5 hours into this game. But
Have you never played it before? Like you never played it the first
I have.
time?
I mean, the whole reason why I wanted to even bring it up and talk about it tonight, even though I'm not very far, is because I did play Nier on the Xbox 360 back in the day. Obviously, because Brad talked about it a lot. I think David, you talked about it a lot.
I'd never played it.
What? Okay,
I tried,
so it's
I've
just
tried
okay.
to play it like multiple times, and that game is stupid.
Oh my god! I like how we just had this conversation about Balan Wonderworld and like.
Well, the problem with Nier
conversations about
Replicant is you hit the boss 3 times and it's over.
No, but Nier Gestalt is stupid. I'm sorry, I should clarify. Nier Gestalt is with a stupid,
Lord.
smelly old man with an eye
Okay.
patch over his face.
Okay, so if you're not familiar with Nier, Nier Automata obviously is like a big thing, right?
I don't know, is it?
Yeah,
It
it's
was
a
a
big thing.
thing.
It
for a
did
while.
very
Nier-
well.
Why did it do well?
The game Nier is a franchise now. Like it's a thing that like
No, it's not. Is it?
yes, it is a
Depending on
big
the sales of
thing.
this one, right?
No,
I think this
depending
one
on
did.
Oh, Brad,
This
can I
remake
say one
did
thing?
be-
I don't want Brad ever to say, boo hoo hoo, we're never gonna get blank again. Like, name me a game that Brad really, really liked that he didn't get. Like Nier, remember Nier was the biggest thing, and then what happened? I
Okay,
remember.
first
I
of
remember
all,
that stupid
let me
E3.
stop you right
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Let
yeah.
me stop you
Brad was being a little
right there.
grumpy, Brad. But
No,
then
I
he
wasn't.
was like, "Is this Nier?" And then he had a little smile, but he had to hold it in because he had to maintain the grumpy Brad.
No,
He
no,
couldn't
no,
let
no,
on
no, no.
any happiness.
Listen,
Any happiness like Balan
motherfucker.
Wonderworld. He would literally be a Balan Wonderworld like fucking side quest where it's like grumpy Brad, he doesn't get his game, and then all of a sudden like Balan sets free his heart. He's got Nier again, and then like
Advance Wars, motherfucker.
He's the one doing the little dance at the end of the level.
No, there's a big fucking difference between what happened with Nier and what happened with, I don't know, Advance Wars. Nier was a game that was like wildly unsuccessful. I never asked for a sequel because I never expected a sequel. Like
Also,
it had no
David-
reason to get a sequel. It just
David,
surprised me, just like it surprised everyone.
And they
No
went
one
ahead
was
and got,
expecting a
Platinum
Nier
games
sequel.
to go development for you.
No
too.
one was expecting that. It was
Do I get to talk about the game?
No,
was
not
not
yet. No, David, you have to
Alright,
realize something with Brad's happiness. It's that there are checks and balances to what happens. The same day that Nier Automata was announced, they also announced Samus Metroid Returns being done by Mercury Steam.
That is true.
That game was okay though, right?
It was Brad
it was-
experienced video game whiplash that day.
No, that was the greatest E3 moment
Okay,
I think
look,
of my life.
look.
Okay,
There is a popular genre called the Metroidvania, one of the most popular genres in the
Here we go.
in the indie scene. Right?
I'm gonna fucking
literally two
you
franchises
for saying
that
that.
aren't fucking around anymore You know,
Look
yeah,
at
it's
this
the
deer. Look at
name
this deer
of
fuck
the
me up 3
fucking
times in a row.
genre.
Look at this. Look at this. Are you
Oh
watching
yeah,
this
that happened
footage?
to me too. Bastards.
Look at
Dude.
3 times in a row. Okay. Can I get a word in? This
Yeah,
is the
go
game
for it.
I brought to the show. This is my contribution to the podcast this week is Nier Replicant, right? And I say something like Nier is a franchise now because I saw somebody chat like 2 games as a franchise. Well, technically yes, but the reason I say that is because the success of Nier Automata has now catapulted this into franchise status. If they were to announce a third Nier game, people would lose their shit. In fact, this game, this remake of Nier 1, probably doesn't exist if it weren't for the success of Nier Automata.
Of course.
Does it matter
So-
to you that that they changed the characters or like because
so going into this, like I was thinking to myself, like I liked Nier 1 a lot, but I'll tell you what, I don't remember a goddamn thing about the story other than and the funny thing about that is I don't remember a thing about the story, but I loved the story. I remember playing it and being like, holy shit, this is crazy and I love it, but I've forgotten all of it except for I remember the thing about the young girl being sick and it was her father. But beyond that, I don't remember.
it was a
I don't
boy
remember.
though, right? Yona was
No,
a
I think-
boy.
No,
No,
Yona was a
no,
boy.
Yona
right?
was the
A little-
daughter of Nier.
I thought he was a little boy.
No, Yona was a girl.
Are you sure?
Yona's always been yes. Yona's
Okay,
always been the young
I
daughter.
think you're maybe thinking of Kaine's backstory.
No, not me.
What?
You know, don't be talking about me. I thought it was a boy. I thought it was a
You
little
thought,
boy.
You thought Yona was a boy.
Why does it matter? Why are we talking about this? It doesn't matter.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Also, the fact that it's a father or a brother is kind of arbitrary, right? It's just
Except for that's how Japanese view Americans, that they want to see some big burly muscle man like run around.
sure.
Yeah,
Was
we'll
there-
talk about this game and just I'll just leave.
No,
Was there
we're listening, Nick.
Was there Japanese options?
I don't know. I didn't look. Probably. I feel
You're
like this
playing
game
in
has more
English.
voice acting than the original. I could be wrong. How much of that original game was voice acted?
Pretty much.
I feel like
for all the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Oh well, I don't
Say
even
what you wanna
honestly
say,
know
Nick.
if. I mean,
What do you want to say about it?
well, I don't know. I feel like this whole thing has just been kind. The big thing about this game is obviously they swap out the main characters, right?
Right.
This version, the original had a version kind of like this, right? But it only came out in Japan,
Yes.
where you were
Mhm.
playing
That's
as,
the original.
as
Yes.
the
Replicant. Nier
brother instead
Replicant.
of father.
This is called Replicant because it's a remake of Replicant.
And we got Gestalt.
Yeah.
But
They actually got
it was-
both versions, but yeah.
It wasn't called Gestalt. It was just called Nier, but it was Gestalt
Mhm.
here in America, right? So for all intents and purposes, as far as I can tell, this is a pretty close to 1-to-1 remake of Gestalt for
Yeah.
the US in English, but with some of the combat like design sensibilities of Automata thrown in. I don't remember the combat being this I don't know, enjoyable. And I feel like enjoyable is even kind of a strong word. I don't even think I love Nier Automata. I don't necessarily think the combat is the reason I love Nier Automata. I
Yeah,
just remember
agree.
it being fast paced and flashy. It wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily like deep.
It
And I
was
think
kind of a lot of these moves you're doing. I mean, that stuff was in the original Nier as well. Like a lot of these crazy abilities and stuff.
yeah,
Um,
and it's it's got weird Yoko Taro all over it, and it still does. And again, I don't remember how much this was in the version we got in America before, but like you have words like when you kill enemies, which are called shades. You unlock words that you can then assign to different weapons and attacks that
they're
like
like
give you
your
stats.
spells. Yeah, that was in the original.
Right. So I mean, for all intents and purposes, there's not a ton to say about it because it is just a 1-to-1 remake, but it is definitely. I think a lot of people think anyone who played that original game probably thinks of it as like, oh, it was that game that was real ugly, right?
Yeah.
Not very visually appealing. And I feel like
Yeah.
the primary purpose of this is to maybe kind of sway those people, like
It's
rectify
another
that
Nier game to
situation.
sell to people who got into it during Automata but don't want to go back to play the ugly one. It's the same thing as like that, the remake of Demon Souls, except it's not quite as fancy as that one.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely enjoying this. I don't know because David said something about how do I feel about the switching from like the father to the brother. I don't know what that does to like the like
It
the
doesn't it
overarch.
doesn't do much. It's arbitrary. A
I don't know.
strong
I thought
familial
the
bond is what matters.
animation for the guy always looked goofy. Like he had spaghetti arms whenever he was jumping up and down. It always threw me off. It always threw me off. I'll go
Well,
look
the
up.
animations in this are very nice.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're different here.
you're not playing as Daddy Nier though. You're
You're
playing
pretty
as
dude.
honestly, this boy. I could be wrong, but I feel like the voice actor for this the main character you play as in this game is the same guy who played what was the young boy's name in Automata? Oh God,
2B or
no,
not
2B
2B,
is
9S.
2B is
Sorry.
9S. Thank you. I feel like this is the same voice actor as 9S. I could be wrong. Maybe somebody get chat
Maybe.
me.
know.
There's
I'm
a
playing in
time skip though. I
Japanese,
think
so
the
I don't
voice
know.
actor is going to change.
I can tell you what. Like I was for a second, I was thinking to myself, did they re-record voices? And then I heard Grimoire Vice talk, and I was like, nope, that's the exact same voice
They didn't
I remember from the
they
original.
re-recorded the dialogue, but it's the same voice actors from what I understand.
Really? They brought
Yeah.
the same voice actors in to re-record all of the dialogue. Oh, that seems
From what I understand.
maybe
Like
unnecessary.
you know the famous like intro where Kanye's
Ugh.
like, "Vice, you dumbass."
I
Like I
ugh.
listened to both of them. Like it's the same intro, but it's been re-recorded. Sounds different.
That's crazy.
Oh,
That's
Iron
crazy.
Chin's here. Iron Chin's been trying to get me to play Nier for like years.
Nier is.
Remember last
here's
time I
the
got
thing.
to the desert place? Last time I played it.
I'll say this. Well, go ahead.
I
Nick.
was just
Nick?
gonna say, like, again, I don't remember why I love this story, and that is honestly
That's funny,
the
dude. That is
reason.
I mean,
But
that's almost the most backward thing you could say. You like, I
have
love
an
the story, but I don't remember anything about it. That's literally what
but
you
I
said.
also but here's the thing, I also adore Nier Automata and the way it made me feel and the story that I was watching. If you ask me specifically what happened in Nier Automata, which is a game I played like 3 years ago, I couldn't tell you. I don't remember a damn thing.
dude,
There's
it's
people that talk to me,
because
they're like,
you remember the emotions you feel and not the plot of the fucking game because the plot of the fucking game is like insane and no one
yes,
remembers the
right,
details.
right.
Okay, so that's okay in Nier, but not okay in Balan.
It's
I just wanna make
sure
this
it's
didn't say
clear.
that.
okay in Balan. No one told you that's not
Okay, no,
valid in
I just want to
Balan.
make sure we're on the same thing. It's
We are
okay
on the same page.
for the story to be fantastical and nonsensical, but the feeling you feel when chess master rediscovers his love for chess, you can really feel that, dude.
I will say, Nick,
I think
I
better
will
when you
say,
read the
Nick,
novel.
like Automata, this is a game where you play through the story through Route A or whatever, and you get like
I know.
one thing, and then you play Route B, and it's like this whole other perspective, and a lot of like stuff doesn't start clicking until that
I did
second
that with
playthrough.
I did that with Nier back in the day too.
I know,
I
but what
didn't
I'm
just
saying
stop
is you're
once.
probably forgetting that sort of thing, and how it
I
kind of
mean,
changes the way
I
you
think
view like
about
the endings and stuff.
you're right, and I always think about I got all 5 of the main endings in Automata, like the important ones, like the big game changers, right? And I remember people like, "Oh man, ending C in Nier Automata is one of my favorite moments of all time," and I'm like, what the fuck was ending C? I have no clue. Like I have no memory of that, but it means so much to people that it kind of blows my mind that because like you said, this is the story in Nier has always been wild and crazy. So the fact that people can remember the specifics of like the story that happens years after blows my mind.
You
It's
know what I
just
like about
not me.
this game that didn't quite resonate as much with me? I prefer this game to Automata. I do. And I think one of the reasons is because I really like the cast and that there's it's such a weird fucking cast. You have this, this ugly dad. You have this book who's just an asshole for no reason. You have Kaine, who's this lady who curses like a sailor and who's barely wearing anything, but somehow she's like cool. And there's this really sad kid who this even
Emil,
sadder thing happens to him, and you're like, man, this is a weird band of people, but I fucking love them. And by
see,
the
you
end of
know
the
what?
story, that I don't think the second game had that, not quite the same way. And
You talk about Emil, and I remember Emil, and you talk about the really sad thing that happened to him. I don't remember the really sad thing that happened to him. So, like, the reason I'm playing this right
you
now,
don't.
even is because I want to I want to remember all of these things. I want to relive this story because I know the story that's there. They're going to tell. I'm going to love.
So play it. Keep
I
playing.
just wish I wish I could play it and it would stick with me, so I wouldn't have to. I feel like in 3 years I'm gonna be like, I don't remember what happened again. I'm gonna have to replay it. Mechanically speaking, though, this game is kind of dull. Like
Sure.
I mean, and just in terms of its design, no, it's fetch questy. Like a lot of the
Oh
quests
yeah.
are just like go grab a thing and bring it
That's
back.
not dull, that's bad. Like, the side
Okay,
quests and stuff are fucking awful.
I was trying to be, you know,
No, never do them.
no,
The people tell you, "Dude, get the boar, maybe do this one other side quest, but otherwise don't fucking do any of them because it's fucking terrible." It's very much, like, people love this game, but it's with, an asterisk. No one's gonna say, "Go play Nier." People are gonna say, "Go play Nier, but talk to a Nier fan as you do it," because there are some things you need to know, right? It's like Monster Hunter, right? You don't just tell someone to go play Monster Hunter and expect them to fall in love. You need a Monster Hunter fan over their shoulder saying, maybe you shouldn't be using the charge blade as your first weapon. You know what I
right.
mean?
I mean, this game isn't as anywhere near as this is for like the opposite reason. Like, it's not mechanically deep, but it's story deep.
Yeah, the gameplay's
Uh,
bad, but it's still fascinating by how many weird and different things that it does throughout the course of the game. And you probably are forgetting some of them, but like it
I'm
does some
forgetting
wild
all of
shit for
them.
no reason. It's like this game's not even that good. Why is it doing this weird, different, ambitious thing for no reason? But it is, and it has it has a confidence. Maybe not like maybe not the polish and the chops to pull it off, but it's fucking confident in what it's trying to do.
But
And
you know what? This remake has more polish. It definitely isn't gonna
yeah,
be that
but
game
it
you
has
think
like
of as
the shallow polish that Automata had,
right.
which wasn't very fucking good in the first place because you can't just be flashy, and you there's got to be some substance there and
But
whatever.
I think Automata has substance. I mean,
I
maybe not
don't.
mechanically, maybe not a ton of mechanically, but
I
like
think
there
both
is
of these games are good for one reason. It's the fucking story, right? And the atmosphere and stuff, right?
yeah, I think the atmosphere is incredible, and it's made by the music being so great and the characters being so intriguing, and I think that's more than enough reason to play either one of these games.
Yeah.
Especially I think this is an easy recommendation to anybody if they enjoyed Automata and haven't experienced the first one, because that story is definitely worth experiencing, worth playing again. That's me. That's speaking as someone who doesn't remember what it is, so that's that's why I'm playing it again. I just know it's good. God
I
damn
just
it!
hope you don't. I mean, never mind. I don't know. You already played Nier, and I'm glad you did. I don't see you playing through like two routes of this game right now or anything, but I'm glad other people are experiencing it for the first time, and that's cool. And it seems people are really resonating with it. And I don't think that necessarily means there's going to be another Nier game, but like, dude, there was three fucking Drakengard games, and no one ever,
Nobody asked
talk.
for that.
No one exactly. No one asked for that. And just like the second Nier game, no one asked for that one. And maybe there will be another Nier game, but I don't think it's up to us, man. I don't. I think it's up to Yoko Taro and whatever fucking shit he has on the execs at Square Enix, because it seems like he can just make whatever the fuck he wants.
He's got some leverage.
It,
All right. Before we take a break, Brad, you did mention Monster Hunter a little bit. Can you squeeze your
Yeah.
thoughts on this Monster Hunter
Yeah.
version in the next like
Yeah,
5 minutes?
roll the sweet footage. Let me just tell you what's in this new update, why it's a big deal, and why people may have been giving you shit about quote unquote being done with Monster Hunter, which is fine. It's fine to stop playing Monster Hunter where you stopped, but there's a lot of cool shit in
I
the
do
2.0
fully
update.
intend to go back to it. I was just
So the big quote unquote controversy, if you want to call it that, amongst Monster Hunter fans was that the game came out and it wasn't finished. And the reason people said it wasn't finished is because the Monster Hunter series is a long-running series that goes all the way back to the PS2, and there's certain expectations for what happens at the end of a Monster Hunter game, right? There's a quote unquote end game. There's certain things you expect to be in a Monster Hunter game, like Elder Dragons and like some sort of shit to do after you finish the story, right? And Rise didn't have much of that at all, right?
there was an Elder Dragon.
Well, there
Two,
was like
technically.
there was a Bushi and Narwa, but they were both like gimmick fights, right? They were
Right.
cool, especially Narwa, right? But they weren't fucking hunts that you go and do a bunch over and over again because they were fun to fight. There were set pieces basically. One was in the Rampage, and one was this weird, uh, you know, it was just a fancy boss fight with a bunch of turrets and stuff, and that's cool, right? But what people expect at the end of a Monster Hunter game are, when they say Elder Dragons, are kind of like what we got in 2.0, which is like three classic Elder Dragons, Chameleos, Teostra, and Kushala Daora. They're all three of those are back. They kind of go together, right? They've been around since Monster Hunter 2, and they all kind of play off of each other, right? Like it's like a triangle, like a Fire Emblem fucking weapon triangle or something, right? Where the idea is that, you know, that one monster's like sort of good at countering another, right? And if you get the
Right.
parts and weapons from one monster, they're specifically good at beating another, and it goes around in a fucking triangle or whatever. So these three Elder Dragons just kind of go together. Teostra and
Wait, are these the Elder
Kushala.
Dragons? Is this thing you're fighting an Elder Dragon?
This is Chameleos. He wasn't in World and Iceborne, and people were kind of surprised he wasn't, because Teostra and Kushala, the other part of that triangle, were in World. People were surprised that they never got Chameleos. So
But are
he's
they Elder
new. If you,
Dragons?
huh?
Is
This
this
is
an Elder Dragon?
Yes, this is an Elder Dragon. We're talking about Elder Dragons. I'm telling you
What
about Elder
what
Dragons.
defines an Elder Dragon?
Well, I mean, it's just sort
They're
of like a
older than
higher
younger
tier
dragons.
of monster. You can't like capture them. They're kind of like, you know, fancy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Fancy
Look,
dragons.
dude,
Got it.
I didn't read the novelization. Um, all I know is they're elder dragons and they're harder, and you can't capture them, and they come with crazy gear and weapons and stuff. And this is Chameleos, and the reason I'm fighting him is because he hasn't been around in a while, and he's cool because he's like kind of based on a chameleon, and he can disappear, and he has a tongue that he whips at you, and he can steal shit from your inventory. You know, which is cool, right? It's just a cool idea for a monster, and you know, the other two elder dragons are Kushala and Teostra, and people probably do remember them because they were in World and Iceborne. People farmed a lot of them because that was kind of the end game for World, right? You'd farm elder dragons or the tempered elder dragons, right? And you, because they were the hardest fights, because they had the best gear and the best, you know, drops like decorations and stuff, right, can
Right.
come from those elder dragons, right? And this is the kind of thing you expected to be in the base game of Monster Hunter Rise. But the thing is, it kind of was, right? Like this, it's for whatever reason, maybe because of COVID, and they didn't get the game done in time, but probably because it was not just that it wasn't done in time, but they wanted to probably release it before the end of the fiscal year. Like, you remember that Monster Hunter Rise came out at the very, very end of March, and that's
Right.
the end of the fiscal year. And you see a lot of games trying to make that cutoff. So it's possible that they weren't quite ready. And what makes this very different than your typical update for a Monster Hunter is that it's a lot. There's a lot of monsters in this update and a lot of content in a very short amount of time. Right? When Monster
Gotcha.
Hunter World came out, you didn't get the first update till 2 months after the release of that game, and it was one monster. This update, which came out less than a month after Rise came out, is like 6 new monsters. It's not just, you know, these three elder dragons. You have 2 new apexes, basil basil geese, basil juice, Beetlejuice. No one knows how to say his fucking name. Basil. He
We'll go
came
with
back from
Beetlejuice.
Monster Hunter World. So you got 6 new monsters, right? Which is cool, right? 3 of them are elder dragons. You have the monsters that were the apexes from the base game that you could only fight in rampages. Now you can fight them outside of rampages. But then you have like big systems, like for example, layered armor, which is something that didn't come until Monster Hunter Iceborne. Into later patches of Iceborne, you have already in the game, which means you can craft any armor set you want, um, and you could wear it visually, right? So you might be wearing like a mishmash of like crazy armor to get like the best possible skill setup you want, you know, a mix set, but you can finally look cool, right? Because you don't have to wear those weird Rajang pants. You can just wear whatever cool set you want, right?
I
Like
hate
that's a
those Rajang
significant
pants.
thing that's available in the game right away. So and there's another big, the 3.0 update, you know, whatever you, I mean, naming aside, right? It's another significant update that's coming out at the end of May, which is again it ends the story. It has, you know, again, several new monsters, probably a new version of the final boss, right? All coming out
So
in a
so
very
the
short amount of time.
so the 3.0 update is what's gonna add the new ending?
The new ending, correct. You know how there was like a cliffhanger tease at the
Yeah.
end of that, comes at the end of May. So there's a lot to do. There's a lot of new weapons, a lot of new decorations and stuff, skills and just a ton of shit to do in this update.
It's a beefy
so
update.
if you did
And it's
stop
free.
kind of you did pick up Rise and you got through the Narwhal fight and you just stopped playing, like people play Monster Hunter games for hundreds of hours, right? Like, but there wasn't hundreds of hours of stuff to do really in the base game Rise. I feel like now there kind of is, and especially at the end of May, there's definitely going to be, and once you kind of get in there, you'll start to understand, like, oh yeah, there is a lot I can spend time doing here now. So it's just kind of like the rest of that base game Monster Hunter, and once they get these updates out, they're going to start doing the weekly events, right? Like the fun events that they used to do in World, right? Between the major updates, they're going to get back to doing that, so you can get all kinds of cool, like they showed in the trailer, like sunglasses and stuff, right? They'll have some, weird themed event where if you beat it, you can get a pair of sunglasses or whatever. That's the kind of stuff they do in events, and it's good, man. It's good. It's fun.
I can
Kushala
attest.
Daora, which was a elder dragon, which fucking sucked in World. I hate fighting that asshole. Is fun now. It's cool. All the shit that made Kushala annoying, like the fact that he was fucking flying all the time, and the fact that if you were a melee user, his fucking wind armor was just pushing you away. All that's fucking gone. It's just a retooled, fun, fucking wind majestic dragon, and it's cool. So yeah,
I can attest. This game is pretty dope.
this
And I got my copy of Iceborne the
disappears,
other day.
and you're like, where did he go? And then he's fucking behind you, and he's body slamming your ass. It's cool. Or he's body slamming himself.
My ass. That's dirty. Okay. Well, thanks for the update. This game, I'm glad I finished it. I'm really glad I did. And I got my copy of Iceborne yesterday, so I will eventually get to that. All right, we need to take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk very briefly about the Resident Evil Village demo, because we covered a lot of ground on it last week. And then, Brad, you have one more game you wanted to
briefly mention that, but I do got some footage.
And then we're going to answer some questions and address some news topics submitted by our supporters on Patreon and Twitch. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Past this spectacle went a young boy. "Hey, Leo," called one of the performers. "Come dance with us." It wasn't
Can I open with that?
It wasn't the first time the dancers had tried and failed to get the boy to join in. He ignored this invitation, as he had ignored all the rest, and walked by the dancers without so much as a glance.
Are you intrigued? Are you intrigued, David?
And then the
Well, it
dancers
makes more
disappear.
sense why these dudes are all dancing around at every opportunity in the game, doesn't it?
I think it
That
needs
is-
to be mentioned that the context of this is Balan Wonderworld and not like a kid walking by a strip club or something. Like
it's not weird.
Come
like
down on the
Chris
street
Davis is
and
implying.
dance with us.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to open the show with that excerpt from the novel of Balan Wonderworld. But
Brad, you're interested, right?
No.
Why don't you tell me to go buy the book and read it?
No, I'm interested in your thoughts. I'm not interested in reading it.
he wants your book report, is what he wants.
he's like, I'm not a crazy person.
I'm writing up a book report, Brad, and you better read that shit. Better read
On
the
the show.
entire
I'll read your book
summation of it.
report. Or no, do like a Reading Rainbow style book
Can
report.
I post it? You guys still do post on your all's website? I'll post.
No. Do a
book
video
report.
like Reading Rainbow. Dun-dun-dun. Like a book report, like in Reading Rainbow.
Dude,
But don't take my word for it.
I never watched Reading Rainbow.
Oh
I'm
my
sorry.
God.
I
You don't
watched
even
the
know- you
opening.
don't even know. Dun-dun-dun.
I watched the opening, and then I did that as a kid. I watched a lot of TV openings, and then after the openings were done, I just turned off. Yeah.
See, this is why I wish Crispy was here, because if I started singing the Reading Rainbow song, he would sing the whole song beautifully.
Uh-huh.
Beautifully, absolutely beautifully, without fail. All right, let's get back to it. Video games, that's why we're here. Why don't we start, Brad?
Yeah.
Tell us about you have an indie game you wanted to mention this week.
Yes, which is surprising that I have played something that's not Monster Hunter. I did this before that new update came out. And now that the
This is
update's
truly-
coming out, I'm probably never going to play this again. But no, that's not true. That's not true. This game's kind of cool, and I wanted to talk about it because it was this game, Tenderfoot Tactics. It came out last year, had tactics right in the title, so you knew it was up my alley.
It's right
But
there.
I watched a trailer and I liked the vibe and the look and the music, and I'm like, okay, man, this shit looks like it's for me because
It does not look like Tactics though.
it is a turn-based tactics game, but with this like open world, right? Where you explore this open world and it's very the game doesn't tell you a lot, right? Like there's a map, but it doesn't show where you are on the map. You can zoom out to like a bird. It's kind of like the bird in Assassin's Creed, modern Assassin's Creed games. You can kind of see what's around you, but it's not like Assassin's Creed game where they're showing you
It is very
everything, right? You just sort of have to like look off at things on the distance. Maybe you'll see like an icon and you'll just sort of like zoom back down and kind of head in that direction through the forest. And it's a very, flat shaded, like, or this very low poly color, muted
very
color
minimalist.
look, right? But it's evocative, right? And I got this sense of atmosphere from
Ooh, that
watching the
menu's
trailer.
cool.
And I was like, I kind of want to try this, right? Because I like that vibe. Even if it wasn't a tactics game, I like that sort of look and feel and the fact that this was an open world kind of like almost a Western style, like exploratory thing, right? Because you don't really get this worlds to explore in like a Japanese strategy game, right? You're just kind of going from battle to battle to battle. This felt very Western
Holy
indie, which
I was
which is
sitting
what
here
this is,
waiting.
right?
I was sitting here like wondering where the tactics part of it comes in. Then
This looks
boom!
pretty
Holy
cool.
shit!
I
Yeah,
This
this
looks
does
pretty
look
cool,
pretty.
man.
I ran into a dude, on the map and it triggered a battle, right? And now I'm just in the battle. The other reason I want to try it is because I like tactics games that have a lot of like interesting map depth, like not just
Like
flat boring
verticality.
grids, right? Where you're just kind of moving your pieces around like it's a fucking chessboard. I like a lot of verticality. I like a lot of ways to interact with those maps to kind of, to have that play into the tactics, right? It's not just my skills versus their skills. It's the map is just as part of the exchange as anything else, right? And I noticed that
Right.
from the trailer, right? There's a lot of like terrain deformation, right? Where in this game you throw like a grenade and all of a sudden like a big chunk of the map like lowers a level, right? And that could affect, how the characters can kind of move around the map, right? And there's not just that, but time is kind of passing as you're like moving around your pieces and taking turns, and it's very like weird and organic, like stuff will start growing like on the map as like the characters are kind of moving around, like brush and stuff and the grass and trees, and it gives it like this really organic feeling that you kind of have to adapt to on the fly, right? Because stuff like that can like hamper your movement, and then you have like spells and abilities that will create growth, or could set things on fire, right? And that stuff can like propagate. There's like a lot of really interesting elements, and the way they interact, the way they change the map, all that's like really fucking interesting to me, right? It's tactical depth that you're not going to get from like a Fire Emblem game, which Fire Emblem does one thing well, but not this sort of thing. And I always look for this, right? Because even like with Final Fantasy Tactics back in the day, those map designs were very vertical. There's a lot of like interesting map interactions, and you don't really get that as much from tactics game these days. And there's like a job class system, right? With like skill trees and stuff. And I saw the ring of job classes in that trailer, and I'm like, okay,
Which was
these are
really
people who
cool
like
looking,
Final
by the
Fantasy
way.
Tactics, right? Huh?
That was really cool looking, by the way, when you open the menu and that like
Yeah.
all the characters and the job classes came up in like a circle the way they animated. I liked it.
Yeah, that's like Final Fantasy Tactics. You should play Final Fantasy Tactics. You could tell
Maybe
these
I
are
should.
people who like Final Fantasy Tactics, but had their own ideas for how they could do a tactics game, which again, very evocative. I haven't played super far into this game, and I'll say this: I am finding the tactics like really interesting and rewarding, and a little strange, right? But cool, and everything's procedurally generated. That's the thing. I don't know if the world is, but the fights definitely are. And like not just like the enemy layout, but like the entire terrain. If you retry a battle, like if you fail it or whatever, like the whole map is completely different. So it's definitely an algorithm creating that stuff.
Does this control well with the mouse and keyboard?
Here's the thing. I
It's
feel
always
like
a thing.
this is I feel like I've talked about this recently. I can't remember the game, but and I suspected this was going to be an issue with this game. This has a really cool art style. It's like minimalistic, it's low poly, and it kind of gets in the way of readability, right?
Mm.
I have trouble um sometimes with like the UI and really
Was
understanding
that
like
Project
even
Triangle Strategy you were thinking of?
Project Triangle Strategy had some issues like with that, right? Like where it felt like it put art style first and readability second. I feel like this game is doing this the same sort of thing, right? And because of that, sometimes I have a hard time realizing not what's going on, but like, okay, it's this turn for my night unit, but I have two different knights, right? I can't really tell which knight it is, whose turn it is on the fly. I kind of like got to fiddle with the UI to really figure that out. And for to me, while I love the art style in this game and I love the vibe and the fucking music, good readability is to me the most important thing in terms of like the way a tactical game looks on the surface, right? Like I need to be able to glance at it and kind of see the whole fight and how it like it's like a chessboard, right? You look at a
Right.
chessboard in the middle of a chess game, you could glance at it, you know what's going on, right? I don't want to have to like look at it and question what I'm looking at, right?
Or
To know what's
make a
going on.
mistake. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I feel like it's the kind of thing where if I play enough of this game, I'll eventually get used to it, and that sort of issue I'm have kind of goes away, right? But right now, I'm still kind of struggling with understanding the language of the game, if you will, the visual language of the game. But it is very compelling, and I do really like the atmosphere and the music and the tactics. I know are going to do some crazy stuff. Like I watched a because I'm still early, and it's a game that doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't explain a lot of things, and I feel like you really have to scratch at it to really understand where the game's going to go and what the potential is for some of the things you can pull off. But I saw this like little developer dev diary that sort of explained some of the things you can do with some of your skills, where you can merge like spells with like various terrain manipulation, right? Like so like the most basic thing is like a shield bash, right? Where you can add like knockback to like a skill, right? So now you do your attack and it pushes an enemy away, right? You might get an item that you can equip on your character that makes it so when you push an enemy away, it also drops their elevation, right? So now you've pushed an enemy back and you've lowered them, and now there's a cliff between you and them, right? Because they're on a lower elevation and they might have to go around to get back to you. Or you might have an ability that adds water to the ground, right? So you might have like a grenade that lowers elevation and at the same time it adds water. And if you add enough water, all of a sudden they're kind of in deep water and they can't do an action, right? So it's all about creating these abilities that kind of manipulate the map as you play it. And that stuff's super exciting to me. And I hope I kind of get to that point soon. Only issue is, and the reason
Monster
I
Hunter.
didn't pick it, yeah, the reason I probably didn't pick it up when this game first came out is because uh, I've been real shitty about my indie games, and if they're not on the Switch, I'm probably not going to pick them up because I know they're probably going to end up on the Switch, or they're never
That's
going to end up on the Switch, and you
that
That's
is
know,
a
because
problem. That is definitely a problem with this generation. Is
yeah.
my fear of double dipping into the games. Like there's so many games I bought on Steam, and then later finding out that they're coming to the consoles, and I'm like,
And it's not because I love the Switch or I wouldn't play like the non-Switch version. It's
"Oh, but
because
that's the point of the
that's just what
Switch
I
being
have
convenient.
access to, right?
Yes,
My most amount of time, I'm very rarely in front of my PC, but I always have my Switch handy, right? So if an indie's on the Switch, I can play like a fuck ton of it, and I can't if it's just on PC, and that's frustrating, but it's the reality. And you know, again, I don't see this game ever coming to Switch. I don't think this was very successful, but that's why I ultimately decided to finally buy it on PC because I realized that was kind of the only way I was ever going to play it. But there's some indie games out there that like Monster Train or whatever, right? Which I played a bunch of early on, but then I just sort of stopped because I knew this was going to come to the Switch eventually.
I could be wrong. Maybe I just missed it. but I know people watching know what we're talking about. Did we ever say the name of this game out
Yeah,
loud?
it's called Tenderfoot Tactics.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. And it's cool. I mean, I like
Is
it.
there a reason why it's called Tenderfoot?
I don't know. Tenderfoot. To me, that reminds me of Cub Scouts, right? Because
Right, but
that's
this
like a
this
rank in
is
Cub
scout
Scouts.
related. This is
I
not
don't
like
think
you're
it's
running
scout
around.
related.
You were a Boy Scout though, right?
But yeah, but I think Tenderfoot is like the Boy Scout rank is based on some, fucking, I don't know, maybe like some Native American thing, right? Because that's a lot of Boy Scout shit, right? So who knows?
I don't know. I'll have to dig up that old picture of you as a Boy Scout.
As an Eagle Scout, you mean?
Right.
Oh, there it is. I've been waiting for him ever since David.
Dude, I got
mentioned that.
a bronze eagle head in that closet back there. If you want to see it.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
We're good. We're good.
What the? This guy, you can never.
He's going. You got him to go. Brad. Don't leave yet. You were supposed to talk about the next game too. Well,
These people are my puppets, dude. I can just get them to do whatever I want.
Too dark.
it's too dark in there. I remember that time at Brad's house we were recording a podcast and we
This
captured
conversation is done, so y'all can carry on.
Well,
Go on.
Brad,
Talk about Resident Evil, Nick.
No, I didn't play it. Chris Davis and Brad.
Oh, you
played
didn't play it?
No,
Why
I'm
did you
going.
not play it?
Because I'm on me. I'm going
You
on
don't
media
like
blackout.
Resident Evil anymore?
What are you talking
So,
about?
this is the third demo, correct?
I can't find it, but I did find a Scion from Into the Breach.
That's kind of the same thing. All right, Brad, you and Chris Davis are the only two people that played the Resident Evil demo.
I do not think that he has a bronze eagle head. Just to let you know, I think
Fuck
he's just
you.
making up stories about shit. For all we know, he wasn't even an Eagle Scout.
Fuck you! How dare you?
I mean, I
I'm an
haven't
Eagle
seen
Scout
any
for life.
evidence, so
No,
There we
it
go.
wasn't an
It
Eagle
takes-
Scout. Is an Eagle Scout.
Episode 678. Is Brad even an Eagle Scout?
Okay, so what is the classification? I hate to derail this. What is the classic? What makes you an Eagle Scout?
Yeah, I bet, David.
Well, I'm saying like I was a certified scuba diver when I was like 18, but am I still certified now? No, because I haven't gone scuba diving in like 20 years. So isn't there some sort of certification that makes you a scout? What do you need? Like,
Well,
don't you need to do like 100 push-ups or get a couple badges or something?
no, I got my physical fitness merit badge. So
Like-
I'm physically
How long
fit.
ago was that?
like I think granted, I was never in the Scouts, but I think when you turn 18, you're locked in for whatever rank you were for life.
No, that's not fucking true.
That's not
you're
true?
a Boy Scout only until you're 18.
No, you can be a
Eagle
boy.
Scout.
You can be a Boy Scout after 18.
No.
So you're
Yes,
a
you
man
can.
scout.
You're a Boy Scout until you're 18. You're an Eagle Scout for life, and none of those other ranks matter. They only say that about Eagle Scouts. I don't know what the fuck it means.
But you did have badges, right?
Yeah,
What was your most proud badge? Or
Oh my
badge that
God,
you felt
David. We got
wilderness survival, man. Like Bear Grylls, motherfucker. They took me out into the forest. They just pointed
And he
me
had
in
to
a
walk with-
direction.
wait,
when I
wait,
had
wait,
to go
wait.
out into
Bear-
the wild and survive.
Bear Grylls, or like Naked and Afraid.
Not naked and afraid. Bear Grylls. Survive, man.
and you had to go out in the woods and that's it, or what?
I had to survive. I had to build my shelter. No tent, I
What
just
are you
had to.
talking about, dude?
No, I'm serious. You have to go out with no tent, no shelter. You have to build a shelter and survive for a night.
have to
and
drink
then
your
come
own
back
pee.
and
No,
say,
this did not happen when you
I
were in middle
swear
school.
to God, that's what you do for the
You
merit
they
badge.
sent you out in the woods and let you live out there for one night.
Yes, I had to build a
This
shelter.
is where was this in your backyard?
No, it was out in the fucking woods, the wilderness, man.
How do I mute
What?
David?
What? No. What honest to God parent lets them send their child
That's what I'm
out?
saying, dude.
Dude, all my
Alright.
brothers were scouts. Well, we had a
Can
whole
we-
family of boys.
So what you're saying is your
Guys,
parents were trying to get rid of their children. Okay.
We need to rein it back in for a second. Rein it back in. Remember, this is a serious podcast. We talk about video games here. We need to get back to business. Brad,
Yeah.
Chris Davis, y'all have both played the second Resident Evil demo, the castle demo. Now, I want to be very clear here. we talked a lot about this game last week, and we're gonna have a much bigger conversation after the game actually launches in a couple weeks.
Nick, there's not
So
much to say. There's not much to say. You remember that very first quote unquote demo where you're running around the castle a little bit?
yes,
It's basically that with a little bit of combat
Yes.
You
and,
guys,
and a shopkeeper and the shopkeeper so you can buy and upgrade some shit. And that's
I
basically
can't.
it. And you fight the same dude, like 12 versions or 12 of the exact same thing, basically. And that's pretty much the demo.
Yeah.
so what are you trying to avoid right now? Spoilers or like Nick
No.
said he's got
This is
blackout.
another
So
super
No.
dark ass demo.
Yeah.
No.
You
I'm trying to
gotta-
I'm trying to figure out if I should be excited about this game or not.
Okay, to be
because-
clear, I am avoiding this because, first of all, I'm still a huge Resident Evil fan. I love Resident Evil 7. This is the follow up to that. I love Resident Evil 4. Is drawing a lot of comparisons to that. The thing I'm trying to avoid is I don't think these demos, and based on what
good.
we talked about last week and what sounds like this one, I don't think these demos are doing this game any favors.
Okay.
No.
I
Absolutely
don't
not.
know what that means or
This
why
is-
that
I
matters,
don't- I
honestly.
agree with
if the
Nick
game's,
in that-
if the demo's not doing the game favors, then that's a good thing. If you don't like the demo, maybe don't buy the game. That is doing it a favor, right? Because it's letting people know
What?
if they're gonna fucking like it or not. I don't know.
But some
no,
games
no,
are
but
hard. It's hard to
I
It,
think
it-
you're.
it's because
distill it down into this demo.
Sure.
People.
first of all, I don't think any of the demos they've done for this, the demo they released for Resident Evil 7 was not a particularly great selling point, and I loved that game. But playing such a small vertical slice of a game like this, I just don't think because
This does not feel like a vertical slice. This feels like just a small segment in the actual game. That Resident Evil 7 demo was a very unique thing, right? Because that was just like this flashback that wasn't actually sort of like
Think of it
the
this way.
core loop of Resident Evil 7.
think of it this way,
is-
Brad. Resident Evil 4 is
Can you
widely
brighten
considered to
up
be
this
an
footage, Chris Davis? Sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
Resident Evil 4 is widely considered to be an amazing game because of
Yes.
its variety, right?
Yes.
Imagine playing just a very small piece of that game where I don't know.
Nick,
Well,
This
the-
is just
the-
let me
the-
tell you, there was
the
a demo
demo
for
for
Resident
Resident
Evil 4 and it
4
was
amazing.
fucking incredible.
And it was a perfect exact thing. It's
Yeah.
just you starting up the game, doing the opening village scene sequence. It's perfect. That's
Yeah.
how games.
I know.
That's how demos should be. You should just start up
But-
the game.
But here's my issue with that. And while I agree, but like my favorite part, I played that demo for Resident Evil 4 and was blown away, right? And then I played the actual game and that shit was over very quickly after that, and I never found anything else in that game that I liked as much as that opening sequence of Resident Evil 4. My favorite part of Resident Evil 4 is being in the village at the beginning. And
It's
I
fine,
I love Resident Evil 4. I think it's great, but like if I had experienced that in the demo and then everything else after that just wasn't the same, I don't know. I just
It's
I
arguably the same thing as like you watch a movie and the opening sequence is amazing, and
Sure.
the rest of the movie is like,
Okay.
could never live
Can
up
I
to
say
it.
that this
you asked me-
conversation is being dominated by this thing that you brought up last week, and two, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't really matter. I'd like to talk about what's in this demo.
sure, go for it.
So last demo we played, I was kind of knocking the combat a little bit. I was saying like the enemies are really spongy, and it doesn't seem like they're reacting to my bullets that much.
They
I spent a
feel
little
better
more
in
time-
this.
I spent a little more time with the combat in this one. Like I kept redoing like the checkpoint so I could fight the enemies again. And what I did realize is you can kind of like stagger them by shooting them in the kneecaps, like while they're moving, or the legs while they're moving. I did shoot a dude in the arm, and he did drop his like melee weapon, right? Which is something I couldn't get to happen in that first demo. So it does seem like it has some of the kind of stuff that I do want from like a Resident Evil game at this point, right? This game is, trying to evoke the past games, right? In some ways, right? In the first game,
Certain
you were
games, yeah.
fighting kind of scary villager type dudes who were turning into like monsters, right? And this one, you're fighting, they're like zombified dudes, but they're kind of like they might as well be the cult guys from Resident Evil 4, right? They're in robes, they're all in these robes, right? But it's like we said last time, it doesn't feel as good as that. It does seem and I don't like how all the enemies were the exact same. Same thing with the last demo. All the enemies looked and behaved the exact same. And one of the flaws I think with Resident Evil 7 was that there was very little enemy variety, and I'm a little
I mean,
worried
there was
that
very little. There was very few encounters with enemies. Period. In that game, combat
I
was
mean,
such
there,
an
there was
afterthought in that game.
no, there was plenty of combat in Resident Evil 7.
Okay, first of all, I'm just saying, comparatively speaking, if you were to compare Resident Evil 7 to something like Resident Evil 4, which is a very action-oriented game, Resident Evil 7 has almost no combat by comparison.
I mean, yeah, but those are two completely different genres at this point.
I know, and here's and I hate to keep coming back to, but the reason I keep driving this home, and the reason why it's my answer when David asked me why I'm trying to avoid playing this demo, is because Resident Evil is a series like it's unpredictable, and I'm not saying you're writing off the game. I know you're not writing off the game, but like you're going into it negatively now because it seems like you're like all the enemies are the same. But like I feel like if you play this game as a whole, you would probably look back at it and never say that.
sure, but I'm not.
So like, why are you playing the demo? Because it's like if that's the only thing it's doing for you.
No,
No,
I'm not
that's the
talking about that. I'm not saying the final game, is not going to have. When I say there's not a lot of enemy variety, it's because it's reminding me of Resident Evil 7, and it's not, and it's reminding me in weird ways, right? It's not that all of these enemy types were the same; they all like visually looked exactly the same, right? When it was the molded, it didn't really matter because those were like
They're mold
amorphous little
monsters. There's
mold
nothing
monsters,
to
right? But
to
here, these
distinct
are
them
like
really.
people or zombies, and they all look the same. It's not like it's not like any Resident Evil game, really, right? Where you were seeing some variety in just what you were seeing. It was strange in that.
I
Does
would
that
be
make sense?
shocked. I would be absolutely shocked if when you're playing the final version of this game, you are going to feel like every enemy you're running into is the exact same character model. I mean,
Well,
there's
no,
definitely going to be repetition because like there is in Resident Evil 4. Like there's like 10 villagers and they just repeat them over and over again. It's probably the
sure,
same thing here.
sure, but this conversation's weird because I played the demo and you didn't, and
And everyone always keeps asking me why I'm not playing the demo, and I'm trying to articulate that because all these
well
things that
at
we're
this
running
point
into here.
like you don't need any convincing, right? The whole point of a demo is because you like maybe you want to be convinced to play this game and you're going to play it
I'm
regardless,
gonna
right?
play. Yeah, I'm gonna play it
yeah, but
either
see, we
way. But
all are. I feel like Nick, you're a little worried that this demo is going to bum you out a little bit, and you
no,
don't
I'm
want to get
not.
bummed out.
I mean, I'm not worried. Because I just don't think. I think whatever opinions I form about the game when I play the demo are going to be invalidated when I play the full game.
No, I mean there's truth in
That's
that too
any
because
demo,
if you play
sure.
a game, yeah, I mean that's why I generally don't like demos. If unless they tell me like you start this demo and it'll start you up in the game like straight up after where you finish. That's most of the times I skip demos or like I'll
And
play demos like music games or something like that.
it doesn't help that Capcom's approach to demos has not been the greatest. Like
Well,
even with Monster Hunter Rise and
it's
that
been
whole like
certainly weird, but like I disagree. I think the way they handle Monster Hunter was like really cool and compelling. And same thing with like Resident Evil 7. This one specifically, it's weird because it's like timed and you can only play it at certain times. But beyond that, they're trying to
it's
generate
also
buzz with these demos.
it's
But
also a matter of
the
like I
buzz
think a game
is
like Resident Evil 7 needed the demo because it was such a dramatic departure for the series, and like
yeah, but
this is a follow up to that game, so it's kind of like really all it's doing now is just showing off like the new setting and the new enemies and
sure,
like
but
the kind of stuff I
it's a
don't want to be
long
spoiled.
it's a long running series, and it's a series where the games can vary like wildly. And, and,
Sure, and
and
I'm
and they
only
did vary
speaking for
wildly, and
myself
it's
too.
because of that I think people are drawn to a demo like this because they have a lot of questions going in, like what is this one going to be like, right? You know,
Is this footage we're watching not just the demo that they released ages ago?
no, it's
No,
not. But I told you it's that same like portion of the game,
yeah,
but like as it would be in the actual game, and not just some fucking tech demo.
Oh yeah, I guess you weren't carrying
You're
a
not
gun
just
in that
running
tech demo.
around. He was just
Right.
buying guns and upgrading them at a shopkeeper, and he's gonna fall into something and encounter actual combat. But we're definitely not going to be able to see that. We can barely see this. I think
I
it's because you use HDR when you were playing, and when you record HDR and you play
no,
back on,
this was standard SDR.
well, then your recording software is fucked because this looks terrible. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, this conversation's weird. All I'll say is,
Is there
I think if you like Resident Evil 7 a lot, I think there's going to be a lot to like here. I think vampires and werewolves and castles are just cooler than hillbillies and mold monsters. So
I think the part of the
I'm
problem for
excited.
this demo for me was the fact that they kind of throw you into the deep end in this demo. Like
Yes.
you know, when you play demo, you expect like a little bit of a tutorial to get you used to it, and they drop you in. In this, like they tell you the basic controls, and then you just go. And so I'm encountering this mini boss that I find out that I can't kill. There's no matter how much ammo I pump into her, I can't kill her. And what the fight wants me to do is try to run. That door is locked. I have to go find another way out. I didn't know this. There's no context or information
Hey
to
man, no,
let me know that.
It does seem
nobody's
like an odd
judging.
place to throw you in.
Nobody's judging your combat abilities, Chris. It's okay.
But
I was
no,
wondering
it's
why he was shooting at the. No, I'm just kidding.
but no, it comes to my
is there
point
any
that
point in
I think there's an issue with this game so far, at least as far as these demos go, about conveying what you need to do.
I know, but by the time you reach this point in the main game, you will have already gone through probably a very slow burn intro into entry into
Well,
the game, and like you will be more comfortable with these situations.
is there a purpose? I'm very, very far out of the spectrum of this, but is there any purpose in releasing multiple demos and cinematic demos and combat demos? And I don't know. It just seems a
I
little bit.
think it's because it's specifically okay. I think PT came out and it was a huge thing. And I think Capcom saw that and they're like, let's try something similar with Resident Evil 7. And between the kitchen demo and that weird first Resident Evil 7 demo that didn't seem a lot like Resident Evil 7, it got a lot of fucking people talking.
What was
And I
the
think
first
ever
demo
since
for Resident
then,
Evil 7?
huh?
What was
We-
that demo?
It
We
was
were
the
exploring,
beginning
like, the
hour. It
fucking
was
house, the flashback one.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
finger.
right.
Yeah.
Yep,
It was
yep.
the kitchen, and then it was that, and it got people fucking talking.
Yeah,
And I
but
think
the
Capcom
but the
saw
more
the success
important
of that,
yeah.
and they're
But-
trying to replicate it, and they did it really poorly here.
Yeah, the
That's it.
important thing about that Resident Evil 7 demo is that it wasn't just a one shot and you're done. Number one, you could play it as much as you want, but number two, it was updated over time with more content and more stuff to explore.
It was
Like
definitely a more
that
interesting
was a
approach.
good demo.
That was like a little bonus, sure. But the point is, it got people talking, right?
And
that helped build buzz for the game before it came out, back when people knew nothing about the fucking game.
And just kind of going back again, because I'm sitting here like when I was trying to decide if I want to play this demo or not. You know me, I've said this a lot.
But the game's coming out in like a week, right?
Yeah, it's coming on the
Don't
7th.
play it then, Nick. Don't.
I know. I'm not going to. I've already missed the opportunity, really. But like the point is, like, one of the biggest questions I've had about this game since day one is like, how is this game? Is this game open in any way or whatever? And like, I'm sitting here looking at it, and like, they're releasing multiple demos that take place in multiple different places, focusing on multiple different aspects of the game, and it just all it does is kind of dilute and just make me worry about things I don't want to worry about. I want to just play the game when it comes out on the 7th, and because they're not going to tell me, obviously, they're not going to give us a straight answer as to what this game actually is or what the big picture looks like. Their demos don't even give you a good idea of that, so why would I play them? That's just kind of where I'm at. But like I said, we don't need to spend a lot of time on this because this game is going to be out in.
Did you just hand chop a crate open?
Well,
yeah, because you got a knife.
It was actually
there's
a
a knife.
context sensitive.
I didn't see a
So
knife in his
I guess
hand.
that's sort of like a quality of life streamlining of the Resident Evil thing. But you see Resident Evil or whatever, right? You see like a little crate box, and you pull out your knife, and you can like thwack it. You can do that, or you can just hit the button, and he automatically pulls out the knife and hits it. Right?
Kind of nice, I guess.
So. Yeah.
But he
Enemies
had a
drop
knife in his hand,
ammo
right? It
and
wasn't.
stuff now.
I just saw a karate judo
you kill
chop.
a zombie, and they might leave a little box of bullets. How do you feel about that, Nick? Because that's something that's very different than.
This is very Resident Evil 4.
recent Resident Evil
I
game.
mean,
Well,
it's another. It's just
I mean, it's
another
more
way. It
second
seems
gen
like it's
Resident Evil than just Resident Evil 4.
I guess, but wouldn't you
Resident
call
Evil
second
4
gen
is
what
when they
second gen Resident Evil started with Resident Evil 4,
Yeah, 4 through 6.
right? Yeah.
I don't know. Look. I might have my frustrations with this, and I might keep going back to Resident Evil 4 because that's hell. It's my favorite, one of my favorite games ever. But like when some of my struggles, my flaws that I'm finding with this game are flaws that I didn't have with like Remake 2 or even Remake 3. So it's not like I'm wanting it to be like that old thing. I'm just surprised.
That's
It
pretty
feels
cool.
like they're kind of taking some steps back that they had figured out in recent games. So
Right.
that's why I think it's this for me. For me, seeing the realities of this demo have been a little like strange to like been surprising to me because it was stuff I wasn't really expecting. Now, ultimately, I liked Resident Evil 7, and I'm probably gonna like this probably more than Resident Evil 7. I'm hoping so. It is what it is. I'm just kind of reporting what I played.
For sure. All right. Well, like I said, we're gonna revisit this in a couple weeks. The game's coming out on the 7th,
He's
so
finally about to fight some enemies, but
let's talk more about it then, shall we? We have we have we have a lot
just
more
keep
to
rolling this footage a little bit.
Yeah.
Too late.
Oh, motherfucker!
Oh, he killed it. Sorry. All right. Well, rolling right into community, right? Is it actually real quick? Was there any other small mentions that I didn't get a chance to? No, we're good. Okay.
I mean, I was going to mention that I started at Yakuza 7. I'm about 40 hours into it, and I'm enjoying it. I'm not.
You
Wait, I'm
started up
sorry.
and you're 40 hours in.
What?
What?
I
You didn't
started
think 40
Yakuza 7
hours
and I'm 40 hours.
Bringing up on the podcast.
I mean, we had other things to talk about, and I wasn't really prepared to talk about it.
Sure. Well, I mean,
that's-
maybe you can go in depth next week. I'm
Yeah.
curious as to what you think. But
Yeah, I'll talk about it next week.
Can you give us like a thumbs up or thumbs down so far as like a tease for next week?
Definitely positive.
Okay.
Okay. I was like, he's gonna give a thumbs down, and Brad's gonna flip his shit right now.
Well, yeah.
It
gonna
fixes
flip
a
out on
bunch of
anybody
the
if they
issues that I have,
struggle with Yakuza.
the arbitrary issues that I have with my previous Yakuza experience. So, yeah.
Oh, prepare a statement for next week.
I'll prepare a statement.
There we
I can do
go.
that.
Perfect. All right. So community-wise, guys, I like to open the community segment by reading some feedback from our last episode. We only got one tonight, so it'll be quick. But I want to remind everybody, if you hear us having any conversations tonight and you have something you want to contribute or comment on, just go to 4playernetwork.com, find the post for this episode, leave us a comment. We'll read it next week. And our only comment this week comes from Slopdog. And he says, with how trends are going, I wouldn't be surprised if most AAA studios start to implement some sort of gotcha mechanic. Bonus points if they include NFTs. The only safe place free of it will probably be indie games until the inevitable indie gotcha game that parodies such systems. Real quick, guys, this is a dumb question. What the fuck is an NFT?
Okay, not worth it.
No, not worth it.
Imagine
That bad?
Imagine paintings, like artistic paintings, but digitally. Like there is no copy of this. Only one exists in the world. And
one of
you
a
own it.
kind digital items.
Yes.
So you might see a GIF on the internet, but somebody owns the one of a kind original version of a digital item.
That's dumb.
And then they sell it for tens of thousands of dollars because all of a sudden it arbitrarily has value now.
Mm-hmm.
That's real dumb. Okay.
You want to hear what's real dumb? You want to hear what's real dumb?
Yes.
At the Oscars, they gave all the people who came to the Oscars a digital statue of Chadwick Boseman.
Oh, that's what that was? I didn't understand what was happening.
That's the tackiest, grossest fucking thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. Jesus Christ.
Holy shit. Well, I regret
I heard
asking
the
this.
Oscars were a shit show anyway.
And now this digital statue of, the former Chadwick Boseman is now worth money somehow because there's a limited, we should stop talking about this. It's stupid.
All right. I feel bad for bringing it up. Okay. Anyways, anything y'all want to say about
By the way, he
having
didn't win Best Actor at the Oscars.
I know. We were having a conversation last week about gacha mechanics and whether or not we think we're going to start seeing more and more of these. I think we covered it pretty well last week. But anything y'all want to add, David? Well, you don't really play gacha games, do you?
Gotcha. No.
I bet
Guess
there's some
not.
gotcha stuff elements in some games David plays,
Sure.
right? They're in a lot of like modern.
You're talking about
Japanese
specific
games.
Genshin or what?
You play Genshin?
I did for a while
Oh.
when it first came out.
There you go.
I did not know this. I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised.
I've put 200 hours into a gacha game this year. It's called Mass Effect 3 multiplayer.
Okay. Sure.
Gotcha.
Gotcha is just it's
so
a
much wrong
Japanese
with that.
term for loot boxes, except instead of, new gun skins, they're usually cool anime ladies
I just want to point out real quick
or
that
young children.
Chris Davis loves to jump on me every time I say something about like I'm replaying or watching something. And this fool just admitted to playing 200 hours of the multiplayer copy of a game that came out in what, 2008?
That's true.
Nine?
But we made fun of
2012.
him about this last podcast, so whatever.
I'm just for the record.
The
Anyway,
difference there is the time jump. I'm playing it 8 years after it came out. You just did playthroughs of Red Dead Redemption 2 and
not done yet with that either.
and Days
Also-
Gone and
Not done
The
with
Last
that
of Us Part 2.
Wait. Nick, also there's a difference between continuing to play a multiplayer game and replaying a single player.
Yes.
Because a multiplayer game, you're getting a unique experience every time, right? I mean, it's different. I mean, like people who play Call of Duty every night do you look at it as them replaying the same game over and over? No, it's
Yes.
no, it's just a different thing.
All right. Well, we could have this debate for the rest of the night, but I'd really rather not. Right now, we have some questions from our supporters on Patreon and Twitch. Also, again, want to encourage people, if there's a news topic that you specifically want to hear us talk about or comment on, consider submitting it as a news topic. We have a couple tonight, so I like to open with those. Our first one comes from Gigamir from Kentucky. He writes, Microsoft has reported that after a revenue growth of roughly 50% since last year, total Game Pass users now sits at around 23 million, which is especially surprising when you consider how few first-party titles Xbox has had in the same window. Meanwhile, on other platforms, Returnal and Pokemon Snap are launching soon at a price that is actually increasing, with Returnal being the first of many future PlayStation releases launching at $70. The old model currently seems to be working for Sony and Nintendo, but if Game Pass continues to grow, do you think other platforms will eventually be forced to rethink how they view pricing?
I mean, it's not necessarily platforms, it's the industry as a whole.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so
aren't Xbox Series X games when being sold physically, are they not selling at $70? I mean, I guess there's not many first-party games.
Here's the thing: they have literally not released one yet, right?
They have Series X versions of games, but like most of them that have been released so far, if you buy the regular version, the Xbox One X version, it includes the upgrade. So why would you?
But if you were to go out,
this entire thing is established by the publisher that's putting out the game. They're the ones setting the pricing. It doesn't matter the platform.
But I also think there's a big difference here between like you're still seeing a lot of games released right now that are $60, but first party games like first party exclusives specifically are always probably going to launch at 70 going forward. I would be shocked if Halo Infinite comes out and it's not $70. So
I feel like
that's
on
like
Game Pass. Who gives a shit?
Well, I think that it's a Sony. Sony's the real one that's real sticking to it so far, right? Like Switch is not up. Like
So
no, but I
far,
mean,
yeah.
but that platform, that hardware is also 3 years old at this point, 4 years old, maybe, I don't know. And it wouldn't make sense to suddenly in the middle of a hardware generation start upping the price of all the new games, even though the base hardware hasn't changed.
So Game Pass is the only real one of its kind, or there's a Sony version of Game Pass.
Not really the same.
Well,
I mean, you got PlayStation Plus, and you get free
PlayStation
games.
Plus. PlayStation Now, I guess, maybe was sort of like that, but it never really got off the ground in the same way.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
there's no
Microsoft is
PlayStation
throwing
equivalent
money
of.
at Game Pass in the way that no one else is, aside from like Epic Games giving out free games, right? Like
Yeah.
Microsoft is just dumping money to give people like a really great value with Game Pass, and no,
Hasn't
Sony's
Microsoft?
not doing that.
So it hasn't. Isn't, correct me if I'm wrong. With Game Pass, isn't it like every first party title will be available day and date on Game Pass?
yes.
Yeah,
Almost most
Yeah,
of them. Yeah.
there is no equivalent of that on PlayStation
of
or
course not.
especially
No.
or Nintendo. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely. I think it's gonna. I think Game Pass is ultimately in the long run, especially if they keep going with it, which I don't see any reason why they would stop, considering how much money they have.
Well,
Um,
stuff could get weird in the future, right? I feel
I
like
mean,
those
it is going to
Bethesda
force people to
games.
think about. It's going to force them to think about maybe not pricing, but just how to be competitive in general,
Yeah,
because that's just the nature
sure,
of the
but
business, right?
I mean, something like Skyrim sold so much at full price and at discounted prices. It's gonna be weird when like the new Elder Scrolls game comes out and everyone's just gonna like get a free trial of Game Pass, like people who don't have Game Pass or whatever, because I mean that's gonna come to PC as well, right? So it's gonna get a little weird, right?
I mean,
At
I
some
don't.
point, like Microsoft needs to make a profit on this, and from what I understand, they're not even close, right? Like they dump so much money into Game Pass, and I
I
bought
can't imagine.
months and months and months for $5 each. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's.
I mean,
All I can
you've
say
been
is it's a
using a
great value.
system. You've been using a system to bypass that final $15 price that it is a month, right?
I mean, I bought. I mean, I didn't. I bypassed it, yeah, because that's what it was being offered at when I bought it.
Yeah, but they aren't focused on you. They're focused on the guys that are gonna buy that $1 try for the first month thing, and then input their credit card information because they have to purchase that $1, and then forget to ever uh, delink it and shut down the account. Like that's
Yeah, I mean,
where all these digital subscription services get most of their money is the people that sign up
well,
for
it's
a
I
service
don't think it's
and never
I don't
cancel
think
it.
it's so much. I don't think it's so much that they forget to cancel it. It's the people that are. It's a great deal. Oh yeah, I'll just pay the $15 every month. Pay the $15 every month, and they don't realize that they're not really getting their money's worth, like the most out of it, right? Because this is how many like subscription services do y'all have for like TV,
A lot.
right? But you don't really need all of those, right? You
I
could
do.
probably survive just on one or two. But it's the fact that you tack on more and leave them. You just let them on because it's easier to have it rather than not have it, right?
But I'm sitting here thinking, like, how is Microsoft not siphoning off their own sales? Like how are they not cannibalizing their own sales? Because like,
I mean, of course they are.
and instead of getting $70 for a copy of Halo Infinite, they're gonna get
No, but
$15. Well, I guess I mean $15 a month. The thing is, like, they're
No,
getting you to
but they have to pay all those other developers that they're hosting their games on Game Pass as well. Like
I know,
they are
but
burning money with this. I think the
you also
idea
but
is
you
that
gotta.
everyone buys an Xbox instead of a PlayStation, but I don't
That's not
think
gonna
that's
happen.
happened.
But you're
Halo
also
needed to come out.
But you're also thinking about the fact that like the people who spend $15 a month because they want to play Halo, a lot of those people are going to just keep paying $15 a month, waiting for the next thing to come out.
no, because it's
And
worth it for them, right? Instead of spending, because like most people don't buy that, but a few games a year, right? Like 3, 4 games at
Yeah.
most,
I
right?
guess, yeah.
So instead of buying the 4 games for $60 a year Game Pass, and they can play, there's never ending amounts of stuff to play,
It's a
right?
great
That's
value.
true. That is a good point.
So it's just the thing about the subscription thing is here's why one of the reasons why I don't use Game Pass is because it's on whatever game is on there. Maybe you want to play it, maybe you don't finish it, maybe you want, like a year from now you want to go and play it. It's not on there anymore. Like that stuff is not on there forever.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, I what you mentioned a second ago about the average person, I forget that I'm
no, none
probably
of
the
us are
exception
the
to
average game
yeah.
We are
player.
in
The
the
average
minority.
average
Yeah.
game player buys like a Call of Duty or a Madden, and then they play that for the next 6 months, and that's good enough for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know, but like
I think we would
again,
be
it's a
shocked if
great
we saw
value
the
for
numbers of
consumers, no
FIFA
matter what kind
players.
of especially if you're a consumer like us. It's more just like, is the long term going to pan out for Microsoft? They have to convert
Well,
like
the question was, so
everybody.
how does it have to do with price setting for the future or something like that,
Well,
right?
the question specifically is Game Pass, if it continues to grow, is it going to eventually force other companies like Sony and Nintendo to rethink how they view their pricing, or how they, I mean, or is it going to force them to eventually come up with their own competitor?
Well,
And
We'll
I don't,
see. Too early to say.
I
Sony,
less about Nintendo, right? Because
yeah, I
Nintendo
mean, Nintendo's always going to do their own thing,
they're
and
gonna
I don't
have
think
their
they,
stuff that you're not gonna have. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
they
Nintendo's
don't.
never going to go for a model like this.
Well, I
The
mean,
only
you
person,
say
the only
that,
one
but
that's
their online service does give you free games.
or it's
I
not. You pay. They have the games you can play when you're subscribed to the service. I mean,
yeah, but those online games, they're what, NES games, ports of games from nearly 40 years ago at this point.
Well,
And
not there's new
I mean,
games
think about this.
too
They
coming,
just
but
locked everyone out of access to 3 games recently. The Mario All Stars collection. Like, you
sure,
can't
but
find that
that's a different
anymore.
topic.
I mean, I'm not saying Nintendo's not going to do something, but I don't think Nintendo is as affected by the Game Pass situation as Sony is. And Sony just, even just this week, announced that they're doubling down on they're dumping like something like $183 million into funding for new first party exclusives for their platform. Like, they're going to keep pumping money into big blockbusters like Ghost of Tsushima and shit that you can only get on PlayStation. So it just seems to me like they're pretty happy with. I mean, you look at the sale of the PlayStation 5 which they're very, very happy with, and
Yeah.
the success of all of their exclusives. And I just feel like they don't really have much incentive right now to change the way they're doing things, because what they're doing is working for them very, very well. And they're obviously always going to be keeping an eye on the competition, but if Microsoft's doing something that works for them and Sony's doing something that works for
But it's
them,
not. It's
they're
not
working
working for
for
them
one
yet.
thing.
That's the thing.
It's fine
Game
for
Pass
them right
doesn't work
now.
until people stop buying like PlayStations, stop buying games on Steam, and stuff like that, and only start buying subscribing to Game Pass, because it's not making Microsoft money. They're losing money to bring in people
Right.
right now.
I mean,
And
honestly,
unless that
it should be
starts
the other
to,
way
so
around.
the model is you bring in people stop playing on the other thing and they only are paying for your service, and then you start raising the price, right? And then all of a sudden the price gets up high enough to where you do start making a profit, right?
Right.
And like fucking like Amazon Prime or whatever. Remember when Amazon Prime first came out? It's like, well, this is like, it would be stupid not to subscribe to this right now, right? and
And now you
and
can't live without it, but they're
and
going to
Game
keep
Pass
raising the
is
price.
like that right now, right? And now, yeah, you can't live without Amazon Prime, and now it's like, way higher than it was when you first started, right?
Right.
And I
But
think that's what Game Pass is trying to create, but it's
I
off
also
to a
think,
rocky start because, like, even though it's still hard to find consoles, it seems like the ones people want is like the PlayStation, right? And the Switch is obviously still huge. So
and I think at the end of the day,
if they're still third place, what does this matter?
it always comes down to the games. And there are people looking at this as like, is this going to impact the way Sony looks at pricing? But maybe it's the other way around. Is Sony's like steadfastness going to impact the way Microsoft approaches the content? Like, are they gonna, like, you can already see it. They're already buying up all these studios to make first parties. Like, but they bought Bethesda, they bought Ninja Theory. They're buying all these studios that people love so that they can make games exclusively for their platforms, because that's what they fucking need.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
the more they do that, the more value Game Pass, the more added value comes with Game Pass, and that's their strategy right now.
You're
So
right, but
they're
like,
reacting to Sony,
like,
not the other way around.
look at Elder Scrolls 6, Nick, right? That's going to sell 20 million copies, right? But Microsoft
Because it's
owns
coming
them,
out on
right?
PC.
But now they're going to sell 20 million subscriptions to Game Pass instead of 20 million $70 games, which people would have been happy to pay for.
I don't know.
I mean, our first test of this is really going to be with Starfield, if that comes out this year, like the rumors say.
I refuse to believe that game is coming out this year. What even is that? Okay, that's neither here nor there. We have more questions.
Okay.
We have more questions. Question mark. And by the way, if you asked a question, I kind of jump around a little bit. If you asked a question a few weeks ago and we haven't gotten to it yet, we're going to get to it eventually. I bounce around a little bit. So question mark. This is a very simple question. What do you consider good exploration in a game? Oh,
That's a
David's
good question,
smiling
but
like
it's very like
it's very
broad.
broad. Very
Yeah.
broad.
God, I mean, it's very broad.
He's gonna say underwater world. Fucking idiot,
I
man.
do like some good underwater
I know,
stuff.
yeah.
In general, I think kind of God, again,
Good exploration is
it's super broad. Good exploration is I think having that wanderlust, right? Like just wanting to kind of go in a direction and knowing you're gonna find like something cool there, whether
discovery. I
it's
mean,
like a piece of
it's
loot or just something.
It's about the reward, whether it's like in-game content or just like a visual representation or a story. Whatever is there is worth exploring if what you end up finding
Is
is
it?
gratifying to you.
Is
I
it?
think the reward can be important, but again, this is a very broad question. I don't think it's always important. I think there's a
the
certain like
key.
type of exploration that's way more rewarding than another, right? In Discord the other day, we were talking about like Morrowind, and I posted a video, right? And the video was describing like a quest you get from like the Mages Guild, right? Where they're like, go find these mushrooms, and then they give like directions to how to kind of get to the place with mushrooms, but it's literal like directions, like go till you see this like tree and then like take a left and then kind of follow the river until you see this town and kind of look around there, and then they kind of describe what the mushrooms look like that you need. Like you need this kind of mushroom. It looks like this, right? Instead of just putting a waypoint on a map and you just head for the waypoint, collect the thing and go back, right? You're doing the same thing. The reward might be the same, but the way you experience that journey is like super fucking different, right?
Yeah.
But
I,
again,
I,
that
I
doesn't
also think
apply to necessarily every game, and there's so many different kinds of exploration. And
because there's and because Chris Davis kind of defined it as like reward based, and it's not always reward based. I don't think, because I think of something like Red Dead Redemption 2 comes to mind, where I think it is very reward based because you spend a lot of time exploring. Because you're a lot of for me, a lot of it is looking for a satisfying story because there's lots of stories to find in that world that are hidden everywhere, and that's what I get the most reward from. Then I think of something like Crackdown, where it's like getting a fucking agility orbs is, I mean, I guess that's a reward in and of itself, but like the fun of it, the fun of the exploration is the actual act
how you get up there.
of
Yeah.
getting to them.
So it's laying out the path, right? Is like even though you might not see the path, you can kind of recognize. Hold on, I just unlocked the third section of the Tower of Tim's.
God damn it.
But you want to know you want to know there's a path there, and you're like, okay, I can get from point A to point B, and how do I? And trying to figure out how to get there. I still think Wind Waker and what's that one game? Recore. I
Mm.
like exploration in both of those games.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because you'll see something off in the distance, and it's like, I wonder what that is.
I think
like
Zelda
a good good sight lines, like a cool like compelling like stuff on the horizon, like being able to
just think
see
about Breath of
some,
the Wild, man. The first time you look out like off the cliff and you see all that shit, and
yeah.
like
But
you don't
you
even
could, but you,
realize.
the point is, you see, like, you could imagine a path to get over there, right? Even though it's
Right.
off in the distance, like, hey, if I just keep walking over there, I'm eventually going to get there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But Chris Davis does have a point in that, Breath of the Wild wouldn't work as much if the thing you were ultimately going to get from exploring like thoroughly wasn't something that was very desirable, something that was going to make your character better or stronger or whatever. Like a lot of Metroid games, have like style games have like really cool secrets, right? But if Metroid works because that missile tank you're going to find is going to make you just a little bit stronger, right? You're going to have
Missile tank.
well, I
Who the
mean,
fuck
you're
cares
getting
about missile tanks?
permanent upgrades that make you stronger, right?
It's the growth of
And
your character.
Sure.
in that specifically, yeah, in that type of game, but also underwater
All right.
because it's
We-
verticality but down,
Oh my god.
Dude.
and it's inherently atmospheric.
There you go. Those are both good points. We need to move on. 2 more questions tonight. I think we have time for. Our next one comes from Chai Tai, our lovely community member Chai Tai. This is, I believe, fighting game centric. So this might be a Brad David question. I'm not sure, but it says, and this is also fairly kind of news related. Recently, it was discovered that the full remastered version of Time Splitters 2 is in Homefront,
Oh, I
and the
remember that.
full 360 port of Virtua Fighter 5 is in Yakuza 6 Like a Dragon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Like a Dragon. What games would you like to see get this treatment? I guess it's not fighting game specific. It's just
Treatment as
finding
in
finding classic games hidden in other full games.
wait,
What?
why is that even important? That's
Animal Crossing?
zero. That has almost zero interest in me to me.
What?
Well, there that
Well, he's asking like what game would you like to be re-released, or what game would you
no.
like to be re-released hidden in a game that people may or may
what
not
I would
find?
like is Animal Crossing to do the NES carts again, but maybe like do Super NES
Why?
carts.
Why the why?
Because
When
that
did
was
you?
cool.
It
That was a
was cool
collectible
for like
that was so
a second.
desirable.
But how
But it
how
doesn't
many
matter.
times did you beat Super Mario Brothers in Animal Crossing
Motherfucker,
GameCube?
how many things do you have on your shelves back there where just getting it was part of the excitement, you know?
No, not digitally. Not these one of a kind digital items, Brad. These are physical items. One that you can hold in your hand that I
It
can
was
plug
cool.
into my system.
I'll tell you
Here,
what,
I can name
it
you
was
4 or
cooler
5.
getting an NES game than a new fucking couch when I already have 18 fucking couches.
Well, why do you have 18 couches, dude?
Because fucking Animal
I remember.
Crossing.
Okay, I remember. Ninja Gaiden on Xbox. You can unlock the original 3 NES ones, right?
That's cool.
On some arcade. No, because you're not gonna
It's
pop
not
in.
cool.
You're not gonna pop in your Xbox copy, turn it up. Like, what's the point of having that now? It doesn't do me any good now. I still have my Xbox copy. I still have a working Xbox. Am I gonna pop it in to play Ninja Gaiden on there? No.
Maybe. I mean, so
You
like, what
can.
about like
First
No.
off,
like Panzer Dragoon Order? You can unlock Panzer Dragoon 1 and 2, right? And that's cool because who the fuck has a
Why?
Saturn anymore?
Why? Go download the remaster or
Wait, real quick,
Well,
pause.
no,
Are,
fuck
are
the
we
remaster.
specifically talking about unlocking these as like
that was my clarification
like
question.
inside of another game?
It's cool.
I
The
don't
cool
even
thing,
remember the question.
the cool thing is that Time Splitters 2 was remastered. It's pretty much done. It's got all the upgrades or whatever. That's the cool thing, right? It's like
No,
it's
okay,
never
real
going to
quick.
get a release.
The
Right?
cool
one's
thing
gonna-
was that it was released. Oh yeah, okay, you're right. It was
it's a
remastered, but then
full game. It's a finished product, but we can't get it. Even if you wanted to pay money for it, you couldn't.
the
right?
only way you can get it is by playing it in Homefront.
Yes, you have to go to
Yes.
some. And the cool thing is that he actually put it in the game. He had the code, and he can't release the code because he worked on the game. So he gave it to a friend, and the friend released the code on message boards, and people were like, "Dude, you're full of shit. I don't believe you." And then he lost the code because he had it like scribbled on a notepad somewhere, and he gave it to his friend, and his friend doesn't have it. He didn't have it, and he's like, "Well, I put the whole game in that game, but like, fuck
And
if
that,
I know."
yeah, and how often is that going to happen? I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of, and this is just kind of one of those things where it's like people play games for a lot of different reasons, and they have a lot of different interests. And I'm kind of with David on this one. Like the thought of playing another game, inside of another game has almost no.
Okay, so
Ve-
Splatterhouse 1, 2, and 3 are unlockable in the Xbox 360 version of Splatterhouse. I want to play those games, but I can't play Splatterhouse 3 because haven't gotten that far in the game yet. It's like, would I
Regardless,
rather just
it's still a cool thing, you know. It's better than a piece of fucking concept art, man.
It's a cool thing to exist, but it's not something I ever think about for more than like 2 seconds.
if it would unlock the version where I could just turn on my 360 and start the game up, sure, why not?
Well,
you know what?
Let me know the
the
next
remake
time.
of Rondo of Blood, right? You can unlock Symphony and
I mean,
when are you gonna play Time Splitters 2, Brad?
Time Splitters 2.
Yeah.
I got it right here, dude,
Okay, on what? On your PS2?
on my GameCube.
Okay, on your GameCube. But you wouldn't rather play the HD version?
That doesn't exist, right?
It
Oh,
does.
that's right. It was just found, right?
But are you gonna go out there and buy a copy of Homefront and plug it in and
Probably
access
pretty
it?
fucking cheap.
Go for it. By all means, let me know next time you're streaming.
I have done stuff like that. Carlos
Okay,
brings up
well, let me know.
a good
Let me
example,
know.
right? The
Let me know.
Quake 4 for 360 came with a version of Quake 2 that was actually like better and
And
improved.
And how many times did you play through it?
Why play Quake 2 on?
It doesn't matter how many times any of us
Okay,
play
but
through it.
I look.
Useless.
No, but it doesn't matter. It's still a cool thing to own. We're all buying remasters and remakes of fucking games and not necessarily playing through them like right away as soon as we get them. We like to have them. We're collectors. Look at your fucking shelf, David.
Collectors again. Physical copies. I don't collect digital copies of games.
But if it's
Digital
on the
copies-
physical
How
disc,
big is your Steam library?
Mine,
Yes.
well,
not very big.
Yeah, he
Mine-
doesn't play PC games.
Mine's probably bigger than David's at this point.
No, yours.
Yours
I
is definitely not bigger
tried
than
to
David.
buy a lot of Steam games, but
You have
I
like
never got
10
around to
games,
play.
Nick.
How dare you?
I mean, you have to realize that physical versus digital here, if you want to get into that argument, like
No, I don't. I really don't.
there's one physical copy game for like 10,000 digital. Like there are so many games out there that you will never be able to get a physical copy of ever.
The argument Brad is making is that it's a collector's thing, and I don't get
Yeah.
excited about collecting digital copies of stuff.
Well,
Right?
some
I will
people
buy a
do.
digital copy of a game for the convenience. I that's why there's some games I buy on my Switch because okay, well, whenever I'm carrying them on my Switch, I don't have to go look for a physical like cartridge
But
and put
you're
it in.
also forgetting the fact that sometimes these games, like there's roadblocks to actually releasing them as a standalone product. Like there's legal issues, like there's rights issues getting that done. But what if the developer or the studio that currently has the right to the IP is working on another product and is able to insert it as a free thing as part of an existing product? They can
So
get
exactly
around
what
those
happened here.
problems.
Okay,
Right?
but
Okay.
are y'all forgetting here that to play Time Splitters 2, you also have to play a certain chunk of Homefront?
It doesn't matter that the actual the question
my
here was that
argument is-
what game to add. That it's not a question of what the game is that has that thing you want. It's what is that thing you want in that next X game.
Or was that what the question was? The question was, what
Yes.
game would you like to see have that happen?
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't even answered the question.
Okay, my argument is though, if you don't go and play the game, then there's no point. The point is the usefulness of it, right?
I don't know what the point is.
You can
What are
still
we
answer
talking
the
about?
question regardless of
No,
your
that's fine.
opinions,
But,
I guess.
but I'll answer the question. That's fine, but there's no. So,
I would
know
like them to put a copy of Final Fantasy Tactics, a good version of it, in with Octopath Tactics or whatever that fucking game is called.
Octopath Tactics.
I say that any game that has an arcade cabinet in it, if they have a game in their back catalog that would be appropriate, then that should be put on that arcade cabinet in that digital.
That's
game.
cool. I mean, the Yakuza's cool. What do you want me to tell you? It's
That's
cool.
great. Yeah.
Like even if you don't play a lot of Virtual Fighter, like it being there, like adds to like, it's cool. It's exciting, just like it was in Animal Crossing, And I have played some fucking Space Harrier and various Yakuza games, so fuck you.
Ooh, Space Harrier.
We have one more question to answer tonight.
Boot up my Switch and start it up right now.
Please
play it in
bed.
go to the next question. Please.
Our
please.
last question.
You get my point, right? You get my point about the usability.
Yes, I get your point, David. Our last question of the night comes from the Drunken Merchant. He writes, what quote-unquote black sheep of a game series were you always heavily defend because you personally enjoyed it over most other reviewers or players? Let me finish. For example, I absolutely love Prince of Persia Forgotten Sands despite its mediocre scores and think it's totally Forgotten Sands. And it's totally on par with Sands of Time. Okay, so that he name dropped some other examples, but we all know what he's talking about. So I'm not gonna. No. He's just giving you ideas of what to think about. I want to see if any of these come up on their own. What comes to mind?
Castlevania Harmony of Despair.
There we go. Winged Boots.
Alpha Protocol. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton.
But no. But we're talking about a series. Yes. What black sheep in a series?
Castlevania Harmony of Despair.
Sure, that was right, but then you said Alpha Protocol, which isn't
okay. Fine. I like Alpha Protocol more than Obsidian.
It's a series of what's it called? What's it called? Games. What was the developer?
It was Obsidian.
Was it Obsidian?
I'm gonna go with, and I've championed this game quite a bit. to many people's dismay, but Silent Hill Downpour, fucking love that game. It's literally
Why is everybody down?
because a lot of people just consider that game to be, forgettable, and yeah, I don't know. I
I
mean,
started up Downpour. I liked it so far, but I just
it
I
is
never got.
it is an
You know,
unconventional entry in that series. It is definitely the black sheep of that series.
really more than the
Yeah.
room. Wait,
No,
not the room.
Yes. Oh God,
Homecoming is the
No,
absolutely.
not
black
the room.
sheep.
Not the room. Homecoming. There you go. It's the one
Okay.
with the dad behind him.
Yeah. I mean, they're both black sheep. I mean, honestly, anything after Team Silence work on the
No,
franchise is a black
anything after
sheep.
Silent Hill 2, maybe 3.
No, dude. Fuck no. Dude, Silent Hill 1 through 4, even The Room.
4 is also a black sheep.
You know
Dude,
what?
I can't even fathom how that's true, because it is every bit as like fucked up and amazing as
Black sheep does not mean
how
bad.
would you play Silent Hill Room for Silent Hill for the room, right? That's what it is.
Right.
How
What
would
are
you
you
play
asking?
Silent Hill for the room?
How would I play it?
Are we
No, I mean,
back
like,
on
what's
that other
the way to
question?
go to play it right now? Like on
Oh,
PS2?
oh.
I have my PS2 copy, and I emulated it.
I think there's some digital download version for both Xbox and maybe PS2 actually. I mean PS. Well,
You know what caused me to play Downpour though, Nick? You weren't surprised that I'd started up Downpour before.
I mean, you play a lot of weird shit, so that's not
I
not
started up
necessarily surprising.
Downpour immediately after playing Silent Hill 2 on this. No, Silent Hill 3 on the Silent Hill 3 on the Silent Hill collection.
I do find that strange.
I
to
got
jump-
really excited about Silent Hill. I was like, I'm gonna start up this other game. Which one should I start up next?
If you
And
want
you
some
went with
examples,
Downpour.
if you want some examples from me, Majora's Mask easily. Also, top 10 games of all time for me, Resident Evil 3. I will always praise that game.
You still think
Nemesis.
that's a black sheep? Is that a
Nemesis.
black sheep?
Resident Evil
Compared
3
to
is
the
a
rest
black
of the
sheep.
franchise,
I feel like
yeah.
I mean,
like our
there's
definition
bigger
of
black sheep, but Resident Evil 3 at the time felt like a black sheep.
it's shocking to me that Silent Hill 4 is considered a black sheep. Even Resident Evil 3, because I consider both of those games to be. I mean, they're all developed by like the core team that's responsible for the mainline series. They're all, like both of those games are just as polished, if not more
I mean,
so than
the
their
thing,
predecessors.
I think the problem there with Silent Hill, Nick, is that Silent Hill 4, The Room, wasn't originally going to be a Silent Hill game. It was just a game called The Room, and Konami made them tack on the Silent Hill name to it.
No, Devil May Cry wasn't originally going to be a Devil May Cry game.
I mean, yeah, but that's something else.
Majora's Mask is kind of a black sheep, right?
Yeah, that's for sure
Yeah.
a black sheep.
Not because
Yeah.
it's not a high quality game, but it's because everybody came off of
Correct.
something else and expected
Like
something else.
it's not the depth of Ocarina, it's not the depth of Twilight Princess or Wind
Skyward
Waker.
Sword.
Okay, so
Skyward Sword's not a black
So-
sheep. It's lame.
It's not.
It's just
Nick, imagine Silent Hill 4. There was a HDified remastered version in the arcade of
fuck off.
Homecoming,
God.
Homefront. Like, would that? See, that's the thing. Would it be cool? Like, I would want to play that game, right?
No, I just would consider it.
Black. According to Oxford, a member of a family or group who is regarded as a disgrace to them.
Are you
So maybe
serious?
Skyward Sword is the black sheep.
We'll find
Are-
out. We'll know for sure.
Is our definition of black sheep not serious enough?
Yeah, probably not.
It's funny because you mentioned Resident Evil 3, Chris Davis. The Resident Evil that the drunken merchant used as an example of a black sheep was, and I could see this maybe. He said 0.
0 is a good black sheep. More than
Why?
3, actually, I think.
Why?
Because
You didn't like Becky Chambers, dude?
well, it's not.
I
all
don't think.
about
I think a lot of
characters for me.
people.
Code
think a lot of
Veronica. I would say Code Veronica is more of a black sheep.
People kind of say that about that era. The reason Resident Evil 4 was such a big deal is because 3, Code Veronica, and 0, people were like, man, I don't know about this series anymore. All 3 of those games.
yeah, but also
Although at the time, Code Veronica was kind of universally liked.
and
but
you're skipping over
when
remake.
you look back on it, people don't like it as much anymore.
Code Veronica's long. It's super long.
Chris Davis is right. You skipped over Remake 1, and that was kind of a game changer for that series.
Yeah, sure. But no one bought Remake 1, sadly.
He
Resident
he
Evil
mentioned
6, for
he
sure.
mentions Devil May Cry 2
That's
as an obvious.
but that's a black sheep no one likes. Everyone acknowledges that it sucks and hates it.
What if you could?
Rightfully.
What if you could? What if you could unlock an awesome remastered, fixed up version of of Devil May Cry 2 in Devil May Cry 5? But you had to go to the arcade
Those
and
are
buy it.
both. What you're talking about? You want to put a bad game inside of a bad game? I
But
don't
no, what if
understand.
it's fixed? What if it's good?
Damn.
What if it was
Nick is turning on Devil May Cry 5 so much. It's almost like his Onimusha Dawn of Dreams for some fucking reason.
No,
Gosh,
I
I want
just-
to play Dawn of Dreams.
I just
I bought
was
that game
really
trying to
disappointed
play it.
in Devil May Cry 5. That's all. I mean, to be honest, I just haven't been.
It's
I
because
feel
that
like
girl looks like dirty, right? Like it just when you look at that girl, it just she
No.
would like taste sour and salty. That's the imagine. Like, ugh.
All right, let's wrap
What
the
is
show up with a
shower,
4-player minute.
I'm with Brad here. Let's wrap this show up. But of course, I want to remind everybody if you support us on Patreon for any amount of money, if you give us $1 a month, you can ask us anything you want, video game related or whatever, and we'll answer it. Like I said, I kind of jump around a little bit, so I'm not going in order. So if you asked a question and you haven't heard it come up yet, it will in a future show. Go to patreon.com/4player if you want to support us. You can also subscribe to us on Twitch. You can submit your questions to the Google form that's linked at the top or pinned at the top of the supporters channel in Discord. So as long as you have one of those, if you're a subscriber or a supporter on Patreon, you should be able to access it. But now let's
Chris
wrap up
Davis,
the show.
You didn't like Operation Raccoon City. How much did you play?
God damn it!
I
Let me ask you,
played.
Chat.
close.
I played through it to completion.
You played the DLC
Ew.
mission?
No,
Damn it! I bought him. I still have not played him because I don't have anybody to play them with.
you're never going to be able to convince me to ever play that game ever again.
Let's wrap up the show with the 4-player minutes. So
I'll
hype,
kick
sweat,
things
thank
off
you, and
with
fuck
my
you.
height, sweat, thank you, fuck you. I'm going to start off with my sweat, which is Monster Hunter Rise. The sweat is just how much I've been playing of that game, and it sort of morphed from like this thing that I was very much anticipating and I love, and I'm so excited when I'm playing it, to like this thing that I'm just doing to kind of, it's like a comfort food thing, but it's like I'm not even like playing it with like a goal in mind necessarily. I am now that the update was out, but I'm thinking of like right before the update where like I'm just gonna go fight a fucking Tigrex because I want to, because I'd rather do that than just anything. I mean, it became like I don't even know how to describe it. It was
Brad
just
doesn't even play video games anymore. He plays Monster Hunter Rise.
it was just kind of helping me drown out things, right? If that makes sense. It was just something I turn on because it was there. And
Boner
read
Killer in
funny-
chat.
I saw a funny chat comment.
Are you talking about Boner Killer?
Yeah,
apologists. No. What are you talking about? Final Fantasy 14 apologists talk about how bad it is, but stick with it because it's worth it. Rise was always good. It started good and stayed good. What do you mean? But it's just I'm spending a lot playing it. It's kind of like I'm playing it like I played Slay the Spire or whatever, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes sense.
My hype though is for Dragon's Dogma 2, because I was lying in bed the other day and I was thinking about Dragon's Dogma, and I was thinking I could just start up Dragon's Dogma right now and just play Dragon's Dogma and I would be happier. You know what I mean? Because Dragon's Dogma is cool. And I think the day they finally announce Dragon's Dogma 2, it's going to be such an exciting thing. It really is. And it's going to be it's going to be the game I'm thinking about most for a while, if that makes sense. I mean, have y'all played Dragon's Dogma? It's awesome.
I have for the Revival Club, actually.
I need to play that game.
Don't
I
forget about
started
the leaks, man. Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming. My thank you
Unless
goes
they
to
cancel it out of spite.
my thank you goes to you, Nick, for actually playing through a Monster Hunter game. And I hope you don't forget about it. I hope down the line, like maybe when 3.0 comes out and the story completes or whatever, Or hell,
I fully
maybe
intend
you wait till
to.
they announce the G rank version, the expansion, the Iceborne, if you will, of Rise. Maybe you hop back into it. But I'm glad you finally you actually got through it, and you seemed like pretty excited to do so. So that's cool.
I was. It was a pretty great video game. The
It's
insect glaive is my
it's a
jam.
prickly series, and it's not easy to get into, but you did it. And my fuck you for this week goes to Capcom. My very Capcom themed 4-player minute. I was thinking a lot about Dragon's Dogma lately, and that got me thinking about Deep Down. Started watching some footage of Deep Down. Oh, Deep Down looked so cool. It had so much potential. Where did that go?
How
Why
much
did
was
it
there
just
even to look at?
no? Oh, well, Nick, let me tell you, there's a
About-
lot of stuff on the internet you don't actually click on and watch.
Quote
There's-
unquote about 2 minutes.
No, there's Deep Down was at TGS. It was playable. People who went to TGS, they fucking played it. There's lots of footage out there of Deep
Really?
Down. Yes. And it looks cool.
Hey, I don't know if you know this, but I've been doing a video game podcast for over 10 years, and I like to think that I keep track of these things pretty well. I never knew gameplay of that game existed.
You
And
keep
it's not
track. You
because I
don't
don't
click links. Click the
No,
links.
I do click links. I do.
All
I
right,
really
I'm gonna
do.
post a link to
the
some Deep
problem is-
Down footage, and you can watch it.
The problem
Send
is
it to me.
the places where Nick dwells. It's not always safe to click on the links.
You might be right. You know what? I've seen Scalebound in action.
Yeah, fuck you. I mean, I have too. I just
But I saw
His
it first.
dreams.
Sorry. That was a low blow. I
It's
apologize.
coming out, Brad. Don't worry,
That's a
man.
little
Every
mean.
game you want comes out eventually, dude.
mhm.
It's coming to Game Pass.
Like I was saying earlier in the show, checks and balances.
All
I think
right,
that's
Chris
a
Davis.
timestamped link. Oops.
Chris Davis, you're next.
My first hype this week is for Yakuza 7. Like I was saying earlier, I put about 43, 45 hours into it so far.
Pretty amazing.
What are
dude.
your job classes of choice?
I'm mainly
I
going. I'm kind of keeping them mostly just the standard. So
Oh my
Nanba's
God,
the
you're
homeless
boring.
guy. I do have Kasuga. I had to think of his name for a second. Kasuga, I've got him as the bodyguard. I've got
Sure, yeah.
Psycho as the idol.
Psycho.
Psycho, whatever. I don't care. But I'm really kind of keeping them the same. I'm kind of disappointed that Eri, however you say her
Yeah.
name, like she really doesn't have a purpose in the main story. But
Sure,
she's
she's
Quick.
optional. So
yeah,
she
she's all
can't, but
optional.
yeah.
But she's also probably one of the
Shit.
best characters.
She has an
She's
alternate
just,
idol outfit too.
Yeah, she can do it. I haven't switched her job class because she's kind of good for AOE stuff. Yeah, I've been enjoying it. I'll talk about it next week once I've finished it, hopefully. My second hype, the thing I spent a lot of money on this month was getting one of the final production copies of an NT Mini, and it came in the other day.
Dang, how much was that?
It was $500.
That's funny because there's something $500 I'm about to buy.
Okay.
Are you going to leave us
Okay.
in suspense?
Oh, it's for my 4-player hype minute.
Oh.
Okay. Well, yeah, my Anti Mini got all of my tax return money, but I've unboxed it. I haven't started playing it yet because I've been playing Yakuza 7 and other things. But I am so looking forward to being able to play just 30 more games in my back catalog that I haven't been able to touch in like 10 years. So, my third hype, I was gonna give it to Mass Effect, but I'm gonna put it towards Biomutant now that game is finally fucking coming out. That demo that we played over 2 years ago was a lot of fun. It was pretty novel for what it was.
I think that game. I have a good feeling about that. I think that game is going to be like kind of a surprise.
A nice
I sure
surprise.
fucking hope so. It has the potential to be very exciting. It has the potential to be very disappointing, but that is inherently exciting.
That is what makes this great. You never know what you're going to get.
They should
Yes.
release that demo that they gave at E3 2 years ago and let people try that. Because I think that was a very good representation of what to expect in that game.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And my fuck you this week, like Brad goes to Capcom, I'm just so disappointed in how they've handled the promotion for Resident Evil 8 so far. These demos just, I think they put Resident Evil
Would you
8
say
in the wrong light.
Would you say it's not doing the game any favors?
No, not at all.
Oh my
There we
god,
go.
you guys are so. We talked about this, you daft motherfuckers.
Yeah, but
No
it's
one
my
cares
4-player
about the
minute, so
demos.
fuck you.
All they care about is this tall fucking lady, right? The game is sold. It is already sold its copies because of a tall lady. It doesn't
Right.
matter what the demos are like. And you know what?
I know.
Capcom started releasing like shoe sizes and stuff, so they're fucking leaning into it. They know what they're doing.
I know,
Yeah.
and that makes the demos inherently disappointing. But whatever.
I guess they're disappointing because the tall lady doesn't chase you around. Lady D doesn't chase you around in the demos.
I'm just saying, in a time in which demos for console games from AAA products are very few and far between. Like for Capcom to release demos for this major title in this format, in this way, that disenfranchises a lot of people from actually playing them and trying them out, it really leaves a bad taste in the mouth.
It does, but just think about
I
the
think
fact
they
that
were
it's Resident
trying
Evil and
something
they never
different.
needed a demo to begin with.
They didn't have to do it this way. They were trying something weird and different because
they did it for
thought-
novelty. They didn't do it for sales. They didn't do it for their customers. They did it for novelty. They did it for the PR.
Right. I mean,
Well, they did it because they hoped it was going to generate a conversation because of the way it was released. And
but
it
instead,
didn't.
the tall lady did that. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
so.
David, are you ready?
Sure. Let's go. My shame for this week. There's a bunch of Switch games on sale. There's like I forget the name of the developers, like QUTUTU or something like that. If you want, I'll look it up right now.
Quintet?
No, QUREATE, Curate. Anyways, there's this game called Prison Princess. It's like some sort of visual novel puzzle game. It looks pretty ridiculous. Oh, you want me to read shoot, sorry, I didn't have this prepared. But anyways, yeah, so they have a bunch of these weird visual novel, all the original ones are visual novel games. It's like, hey, there's a ninja that comes to live with you, and now you have to live your life living with a female ninja. And then there's ones like, oh, hey, you have to live your life with this female succubus. And then there's ones like, oh, you gotta live your life with this female knight. Look at all the crazy predicaments you get into. But this one actually looks kind of like gamey because there's like puzzles. And here's a it says something like I can't remember what it says. It says, oh well, don't you only have so much time to solve the puzzle, but don't get distracted by her, bum hanging out of her pants. So
It
anyways,
sounds like such a David thing.
well, it's just I have like this curiosity that you have to like just see what it's about, right? Like just play it. If it's terrible, at least it's terrible, right? How terrible is it? And that's how I end up discovering a lot of games that I end up liking. But anyways,
I feel like y'all don't understand David at all. I feel like y'all think David will play a game like this and it'll be his favorite game of the year, but that's not how it works. He'll play that game and it'll be like, oh, this is interesting, and then he'll play the sequel to Army of Two, and that'll be like he'll talk about that game for years or some shit. It's gonna be some random game that like you may have like scoffed at, but like Carlos is like that too, right? He has like a Fear 3 tattoo on his chest, probably, right?
for 3, yeah, I played that game. It was okay. It wasn't that great.
Army of Two, the Devil's Cartel. I bet David.
No, that was the third game.
No. I played the There was a guy that was Green Toast before Green Toast. I don't know if you guys remember him.
Does Green Toast know that he's one of those?
I think so. Arturo, do you guys remember Arturo?
Yeah.
He lived in Austin. He played all the games with me before he like really started taking his Walmart job seriously.
Well,
and then now I never see him anymore.
I feel like that's not the way to say that. but okay.
Okay, next 4-player minute. Keep going.
My sweat for this week. Box sets 1, 2, and 3 and 4 of One Piece are all on sale. Instead of the $170 each for each box set, they're $124. So altogether, it's like $450 worth of like 70 or 80 manga. So usually they're like $10 a piece off of Amazon. So instead of paying
they're
800,
books.
yes,
Okay.
the manga.
Out
which
of
is the
how
only,
many books total in this series?
in One Piece?
Yes.
I want to say like 72, 100, 90 something.
How many box sets would that be?
There's 4 box sets.
Oh, that's
First box,
everything.
Oh, that's a
yeah,
complete
well,
series.
that's everything's been released so far. No, One Piece is still going on, dude. It's probably not ending anytime soon.
Oh God.
I can't imagine.
Wow.
If they were ending it, there'd be some sort of, I don't know. I have no clue what they're going to do with that series. But I do want to catch up with it, and I'm not going to sit through 1,000 episodes of. I've watched probably like 500 episodes of One Piece, to be honest. But those episodes take forever. There's filler. I'd rather just read the original source material, like I did with Demon Slayer. Read the original source material. Now I just kind of go back and watch the anime to kind of flesh it out and get the story and get the pretty animations and
Was
the
there an
voice.
arc where Luffy couldn't stretch? Or no. He chose not to stretch.
What? I don't know
It's
about
been
that.
it's. I feel like it's so long running. You can like throw anything out, and it's probably been an arc, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's, but it's absolutely pretty amazing how they're able to like come up with different ideas and different devil fruit powers. Like you would think, okay, yeah, this stretchy dude, but like there's a million. They come up with a million. There's like Lava Man, and he's like actually made of lava. And then there's one where it was there was an elephant, a sword elephant. So it was like an elephant that like could turn his like trunk into a sword. And then the owner's like, oh, you think it's an elephant that ate the sword fruit, right? And you're like, yeah. And it's like, no, it was actually a sword that ate the elephant fruit. So the sword became an elephant. It's so stupid. I love it, dude. I fucking love how absurd that shit is. It's so great. Yeah, but that they always find a way to like absurd it up.
All
Yeah.
right. This is a 4-player minute.
Yes.
Okay.
And my hype for this week, it's actually not really my hype. Y'all saw the new Great Ace Attorney thing get announced?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not too excited about it, to be honest. I'm excited about the fact that I ordered physical copies of the game. I've been wanting the Phoenix Wright physical package from Japan. It's only released PS4 one, only released in Japan. I've been wanting to order that from Japan for a while, but then they came out with this bundle package that has the new game and the old game both in physical form on PS4. So that's kind of more what I'm excited about. I got a deal on it. This is how I got those figures. So I showed you the figures from Rent. There's a manga called Rent a Girlfriend, and I bought the 2 figures off. I bought the 2 figures off of it. There's a booby. There's a booby mouse pad that I was kind of joking with my ex about. I was like, hey, if I buy it, will you use it? She was like, yeah. And I think she doesn't think I'll do it, so I'm trying to call her on her bluff. So I ordered the booby mouse pad, but the booby mouse pad is $40, $44 shipping. So I tacked on all this other stuff, the figures, the Ace Attorney package, and the shipping ended up being like $50 for all of it. And they're all shipping in different packages because they release at different times. So somehow I kind of game the shipping system from Amazon Japan. So I guess that's what
for a booby mouse pad.
well, and figures and the game, the physical copies.
Right.
It's not just the booby mouse pad, Nick.
Okay. You're
it's the meaning behind it. That's my hype.
Rent a Girlfriend though. Like there's thousands of other shows you could have picked. You went Rent a Girlfriend.
You don't like it? Why don't you like it? You don't like the characters and not believable?
Guys,
or what?
Oh, I haven't watched it, but I've seen plenty
so he hasn't
of it.
watched it. Oh, I see. He hasn't watched it, so he doesn't know anything about Sarashina Ruka, or he doesn't know about Sakurasawa Sumi, right?
I know that the main character is a piece of shit.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. That's how you have a good character arc. You start them as a piece of shit, they grow, they get better, and then become a better person.
4-player minute. Oh my god, this is
And
like
We gotta
fucking
hurry.
cats.
Chris Davis has
It's
to get up
hard.
at 10:30 p.m. a.m. tomorrow.
And my fuck
It's
you
like
this week goes to Sony because I really don't know when I'm going to get a PS5. I really don't. If I've kind of
nobody
followed it
does.
closely. Yeah, again, I don't know. I kind of want one because there's some stuff coming out, Ratchet and Clank. But I guess if I wait, I don't want to pay $70 anyway. So whatever. And then also, they accidentally released Mugen Train on the Sony Video Store the other day, and it's supposed to be $20 when it comes out in June, but they released it like last week at $12, and I bought it and I rewatched Mugen Train like twice, and then they took it out of my account, and so I can't watch it anymore. And
Boo.
they're supposed to well, I mean, it's their
Okay,
own
so
fault.
that's the big deal. I thought it wasn't. I thought it wasn't even out. I thought it was already out in theaters.
It is out in theaters.
Oh,
It's out in
okay.
theaters. I went and watched it in theaters, and then they accidentally released it on the store, and I was like, well, if they're gonna sell it, I'll buy it.
Okay.
So I bought it, and they're supposed to refund me, but I haven't seen any refund yet. They said up to 2 billing cycles, which I don't know how long is that. 2 months? 1 month?
60 days.
Who knows?
60 days? Oof. It take me 2 weeks to refund something. I get it, man. I wasn't supposed to own the movie in the first place, but they should have at least sent like some sort of email like, hey, just to let you know, we made a mistake. We're gonna refund you. But they didn't. They didn't email anybody.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Those bastards. All right, it is my turn for a 4-player minute of the ages. Okay.
I'll be timing Nick.
My fuck you of the week goes to Nightbot. As you all know, I did a Days Gone stream this week for the second anniversary of that game. And Sony and Sony Bin sent me a copy of the game, one copy of the digital deluxe edition to give away. And I was using Nightbot to have people enter the giveaway. And then at the end of the night, I did a drawing, right? I had a bunch of names in Nightbot. I clicked the button to roll. It gives me 2 fucking names. And it wouldn't be a big deal, except for the fact that it tells chat the names. So like it pops up both names in chat. And I'm like, I only have one code.
Well, why didn't you make them like fight for it or whatever, or like do some
Well,
sort of?
It was bullshit.
Make them have tryouts.
No, it was bullshit because I was like, I would love, because I didn't see the second name. I didn't see both names pop up at first. I was like, oh look, Son the
Just buy him
Paladin
another-
win. I know. So that leads to my thank you, which was Mr. I was literally getting ready to buy a copy of the game out of my own pocket to give to the second person, and then Mr. Green Toast swooped in and did the same thing. So my thank you goes to Mr. Green Toast. For being such a generous chap and being a part of the community. And
class act.
Honestly,
it's
class act. It was great. It was great. I mean, I was like, I feel terrible not being able to give a copy of the game to someone else.
You know who's
too,
gonna
but
feel terrible? That winner when he opens up his package from Green Toast and it's a copy of Marvel's
No.
Avengers.
It's No, I mean to be honest, what Green Toast actually bought him was a PlayStation Network gift card for the value of the game, basically.
Hell,
So
Green Toast. I know some personal information about Green Toast that it doesn't make sense for.
You're not going to share that here, okay?
No, I'm not. But it doesn't. I'll just say that it doesn't make sense for him to be buying games for other people.
So my thank you goes to Mr. Green Toast and Light Sage and Sun the Paladin, which were the 2 winners of the giveaway, and everyone who showed up for my stream. And I had a great time playing through challenges on Monday night for the anniversary. My hype goes to Returnal, which comes in.
Can I say one thing? Days Gone has a update for the PS5, right?
Yes, and
that's
great.
That's another reason why fuck you, Sony, because there's a lot of I've been revisiting all these games that I never finished on Xbox Series X, and I would love to do the same thing with PS5, like God of War and what's it, Dawn of Hero, Zero Dawn or whatever. Like, there's a bunch of games I never went through and never beat because I just didn't get around to it. And if I had a PS5, they would give me an excuse to go back and do them.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess they don't want me to play Days Gone, so whatever.
I guess not. I do though. But yeah, my hype is Returnal, comes out tomorrow. It's been kind of low key for me. I was always planning on trying it, but it's been getting really good reviews. I'm hearing crazy shit like it's a mix of like Hades and Metroid, and like with
I typed that into Discord today.
No, I mean I saw that in a review. Also, Jack messaged me and was like, "Dude, this looks like Hades meets Aliens meets Metroid, and I was like, dude, this sounds rad. It also here is very hard, but you know what? It looks like it's kind of right up my alley, like thematically and story wise and everything. And the gameplay looks crazy and it looks beautiful. So I'm looking forward to trying it. I'll be talking about that on next week's show. And my sweat, I guess I'm gonna give it to Resident Evil Village because I'm obviously gonna play it. I'm obviously very excited, but a lot of the discussion, the conversation around that game right now, as it stands, is not super positive. But you know what? I'm still very, very excited to play it. I'll be, and I took next Friday off so I could play it through the weekend. So I'm
That's
ready.
funny, dude. Do y'all do that? Y'all take off days to play games?
Yeah, all the time.
Yes.
That's funny, dude.
I took a 4-day weekend when The Last of Us
I've
came out.
never done that. Not for games. I mean, like,
Oh, man.
because when I was in college, I would just skip class, but I wouldn't ask
Well,
for
there we
ask
go.
for time off.
Hey,
But I don't do that now.
It's basically
I
the same
have
thing.
I have
No,
the
I know, but-
vacation time to use, so like
See,
why not use it?
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't ask for time off to play games. It just seems wrong.
Well, it doesn't seem wrong to me. I love it. And with that note, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. David, thank you for being here. And is there anything else you want to say in closing before I?
I had somebody. I was working at the restaurant, and somebody came in and commented on my shirt, and like
I was going to comment on your Resident Evil shirt.
Nobody
Yeah.
ever comments on the shirt. Like that was the first time ever, and that couple was like apparently a huge Resident Evil fan. But every time I wear the umbrella one, people like talk about it. They're like, "Oh yeah, I love that those movies," and I'm like, "But this one, the Tri-Cell shirt, it's like you have to be like, I guess
You have
this
to
is
be a
one-
big
that one-
nerd.
that one game."
But man, guys, yeah, thank you so much for listening. 4playernetwork.com is the website. You can find us streaming on Twitch. You can find us in Discord. That's the big one. We hope you'll join us there at discord.gg/4player. As we mentioned earlier, if you want to support us financially, you can throw us $1 a month, whatever you want to give. We appreciate it either way. It's patreon.com/4player. But yeah, I hope you guys will join us next week for a new episode. Until then, be safe. Wash your hands.
Get vaccinated.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Good night.
Bye.
Night.